Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Northern Perspective. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Tanya.
And I hope everything is working after being away from a live stream for what feels like 6 months, but we are now back. So, anyway, thank you for joining us not on a Sunday night or Monday night, but on a Tuesday night. This was Tanya's idea. So
yes, because we were way too exhausted last night. We drove in from, I think it was Sherbrooke, just outside Montreal, and it was probably about 7 hours home. So, yeah. The day before that, we drove for like 14 hours. I think we were in the car longer than we had been asleep.
That's correct. We had been in the car for about 14 hours, and we certainly didn't sleep 14 hours. Anyway, it's great to see everybody. We got lots to talk about, ton of content, ton of updates, and we're going to be debuting a new shirt, which you can't see yet, which is actually inadvertently cleverly hidden by us. So we'll be getting to that shortly. But before that, let's get to house rules.
So the house rules are the same three as always. Number 1, please respect each other and the show. Number 2, no selling, soliciting, or spamming in the chat. And number 3, please do not use profanity. We had met some children this weekend that love Northern Perspective, so we want to keep it a friendly, welcoming, and educational environment for them.
100%. So we have Jack. No, that's not our moderator. Randy. Randy's our moderator.
Jack's my mom's cat.
It's probably because we spent a week with your parents. That's why it's on my mind. Anyway, I said Randy.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Well, there we go. So we have the other Randy is going to be moderating, and he's also going to be taking your questions tonight, as Tanya may have said, but I wasn't listening because I was looking at other things.
I don't think I said that yet. I think I just said it to you.
Excellent. So does it still count as not listening if I was right? I don't know. All the husbands out there can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, it's going to be fun. But let's get some important business out of the way first and talk about parliamentary petitions.
So we have 2 parliamentary petitions that are by members of MP Nation that they asked us to share. The first one is petition number E-7343, and that is a petition which calls on Ottawa to pause and review arrangements allowing foreign mariners to work in Canada and create a transparent framework that protects Canadian jobs, wages, training, safety, and marine sovereignty. And the second one is by Miriam, who has submitted a petition in the past. This is kind of like a follow-up one from her previous one. It's number E-7343. No, I just copied and pasted the wrong one. Stand by. That was very silly of me. Hold on a second, folks.
This is where the pressure mounts.
It does, yep. 7543 is Miriam's petition. That's the second one there. I did put it correctly in the description of the video. I just didn't put it correctly in my notes. So petition 7543 is the follow-up to Miriam's previous petition, and it calls on Ottawa to review whether the Online News Act is actually working, to negotiate with Meta to restore news on Facebook and Instagram, and also to amend the law to address its unintended consequences. So if either of those sound like something you are interested in signing, please do so. They are both at the very top of the description. If you're not seeing them, just hit refresh and they should show up.
There you go. And as people are filing in, please do not forget to hit that like button on the stream, because it tells YouTube to suggest this out to even more people. And we're at 325, so we're less than half of the people that are filing in right now. So please, 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 please do us a favor and smash that bell. Alrighty, just a couple of things to get to. So we have Joseph Van Luke, member for 12 months. Happy 1-year anniversary to me as a member. Oh,
awesome. Thank you very much.
Happy 1-year anniversary. Excellent. Member for 12 months. Absolutely. And this is $28. Thank you very, very much. This is from Adam Bath. It was great to meet you both here in Calgary. Thank you. Pretty much every prediction you made on how it would play out when Carney was elected has come true. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, just keep in mind, we're not fortune tellers, but we can kind of guess at what's going to happen. Just based on what is happening. You know what I
sometimes
mean?
we're right, sometimes we're wrong.
Exactly.
And
So don't put any bets on it or anything.
sometimes we're happy to be wrong, and sometimes we're not happy to be right. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows how it plays out? Sorry, Alice. Avonlea member, 33 months. Special people touch you without using their hands. I'll take that in the positive way. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Given Jessica's or Alice's previous comments, I will take that in the most positive and parliamentary way I can.
Maybe I just got to get my mind out of the gutter.
We have been on a road trip for many days. Jessica Van Luke for $14. Maya loves hockey. If you guys could post on your socials about it, and we all tag the Canucks in the comments and try to get Maya to be honored at the Canucks season home opener. Oh, that would be nice. I would hope that the Vancouver Canucks would just do that without needing to be tagged, but that's an initiative I think all Canadians can get behind, no matter what party you're behind. The Immigrant Beaver for $5. Elbows up. No Liberals at the opening of Gordie Howe Bridge, according to a statement from the minister's office. They're upset about it being tariffed more. Well, I guess we'll see what happens, because it's slated to happen shortly, and we'll be keeping an eye out to see what happens there. Megaman Zero for $5. Well, if woke liberals can do politics, why couldn't children do as well? I would flip it around. If children could do politics, why couldn't woke? Anyway.
Seriously, though, I do think children should learn civics at least from a young age. That way they know, what is Parliament, who's the Prime Minister, how does it work, kind of thing. And I think we addressed that in our book pretty well.
Yeah, like even with Arson, we don't specifically say, Vincent, liberals are bad, and this is what
No.
we actually don't do that. We educate him on Parliament when we're there, and the stuff that we think he can understand, and that's what we think children should be educated on too. Like, keep the politics out of it, but they absolutely should know how our government works.
Well, and the fun thing is, I don't think he realizes, like, when we go to do an interview, sometimes he's there, or like this past few days when we were traveling out east, he got to meet a couple of MPs, and I don't think he understands the importance of it, but it's really cute.
Diane Martin, welcome for 8 months. Thanks for what you guys do, and thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here for us. And thanks for everybody who's starting to click that like button, and we're still 400 likes behind. I'll leave it to NP Nation to enforce that. Carol Riom, great to see you for $5. Correct predictions, so you're not witches or seers, just analytical and intelligent. Either way, you might need to weigh a duck just to be sure. Just to see if it's made of wood. I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Witchcraft, sorcerer.
And Myron ends for $20. Carney is not excellent. He's excrement. Lost in translation, maybe. And Goko Donnie, good to see you for 20 memberships. Thank you very, very much for that. If you get one of those memberships from Gokodani or anybody else who drops a membership, please make sure to say thank you to those wonderful, wonderful people. Elizabeth Chaffee for $14. Thank you very much for your #1 super pair fan. There you go. Now, we did take a unscrupulous amount of pictures, and we also did take some footage. Some of it will be
Members only.
members only stuff, because it's
not political. It's just like, hey, look at this cool thing we found.
very not political.
Yeah.
But we are going to be showing a few things where this isn't going to be your relative slideshow where they make you sit there for an hour and a half looking at pictures of them. Don't worry. But we are going to show a few things. So number one, we're going to start at the Stampede itself. And I tried lowering the volume on this video, so it should be okay. And this is just one of the things that you get to see at the Calgary Stampede. So there was a very much more courageous gentleman than I am to get on a horse and do that. And we also have another rider, but this one was filmed at a different speed. So there you go.
That was really cool. So that was the, I think they call it the bareback bronco riding. And sometimes you'll get people going, well, you know, it's cruelty to animals, blah, blah, blah. These horses are actually specifically bred for this sport. So they love it.
Yeah, we got into a bit of a fight with Jan Arden online, but
You got into a bit of a fight with Jan Arden online.
it wasn't really a fight. So she sounded off throwing expletives on a post about, you know, how this is cruel and unusual punishment, blah, 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 blah. A bunch of people responded to her. There was one person that responded very eloquently in a long post, basically saying, this is how things are. And then she says, thank you for the calm and measured way that you responded to that. And I just replied to her, I'm like, yeah, if only your post was was the same thing. Because really, like, come on, you're going to come out and say, oh, thanks for the calm and measured response, essentially indicting everybody else you responded to. But I'm sorry, your initial post was pretty unhinged, and it was really unprofessional and unbecoming. Just say it.
Well, and interestingly, our moderator Juster does participate in this sport as well. I don't believe he goes to the Calgary Stampede, but I know he does bronco riding, and I don't know whether it's bareback or with the saddle, but even he's like, you know what, the horses, this is what they're bred for. Like, they love it. They love the exercise. So,
and they take care of them.
Yeah, they do.
So, yeah, the problem is I think what everybody thinks is that these horses are in there and they stick them with the cattle prod, and that's what happens, and that's not what happens
No,
at
they
all.
tie like a belt around,
makes them very uncomfortable,
like just before their hips, and they don't really like the feeling of it, so they try to like get it off. There's actually one horse that, even though they had the belt on him, he wasn't bucking, so I think the rider got disqualified, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and I think that was a 19-year-old as well, which is unfortunate. So, anyway, best of luck to him in future. And there was just amazing skilled riders all over the place. You had the women's barrel racing, which was awesome.
That was stunning to see.
That was great. And inside, we got to see the cattle penning. That is really neat to see. There's a ton of strategy, bunch of luck. But it's fascinating to see these riders have to essentially grab 3 sheep or herd 3 sheep out of a flock and to the other end of the arena without getting the wrong numbered sheep that are called to cross this line. And if you're not following, I'm not surprised.
They weren't sheep, they were cattle.
Oh, they were cattle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I guess sheep would be even more hard.
I think sheep was for the next day. I wanted to watch the sheepdogs. I always find it fascinating the way that they can work and just herd the sheep into the pen. But it was the next day, and we weren't going to be back.
Well, I'm actually realizing how much of a dummy I am because I introduced it as cattle petting and started talking about sheep. Anyway, this is why I'm a stupid Ontarian. Anyway, it was a great time had by all. That takes us to some of our pictures. So this was a neat behind the scenes picture that was taken while I was doing the interview with Pierre at the Conservative Barbecue. So that was a neat one that I didn't even know was taken until today. So that was great. This was something that they were doing to promote Super Troopers 3 at the Stampede. So they had these guys dressed up as the Super Troopers, like the state troopers from the movie, and they were handing out citations to everybody. obviously fake. So Vincent ended up getting a citation for being a Blue Jays fan.
Because he was wearing a Blue Jays jersey or shirt or whatever it was.
So you got to take these to go to their booth, and you got to do like a mug shot, which was kind of funny. And they gave you something free, like some swag. So that was fun. I was glad that they did that. This was kind of fun. So this was on our way. I don't know where we. Oh yes,
that
this
was at
to the
Heritage
barbecue.
Park to the barbecue. Yeah.
And so you can see Tanya's mom on the right, and she has a NP shirt that says Nana Nan, and then obviously Vincent's grandfather, who goes by Papa G. No, he's not a rapper. And then obviously Vincent there. So that was a fun one. And here's Vincent and his papa up on top of the world, where we posted some of the pictures. And it was just a crazy, crazy sight. Gorgeous up there. And we got very lucky with the weather.
Oh, yes, we did.
Here's us up in the same neck of the woods. You can see the mountains behind us. So really great views up there. This was a shot at Lake Louise. And this reminded me of, and some of the folks, the art folks will know this, there's a group of 7, and the group of 7 are Canadian artists with their distinct style, but a group of 7 picture that this shot really reminded me of, and I tried to kind of recreate it, which was neat. But you can see the turquoise water there, but you haven't seen anything yet. So this is up at Moraine Lake, and it's further up. It's the lake that you need to see, and this is obviously Vincent looking out into the distance. Here's another shot from a different angle, from a different camera. And I promise you, I have not touched this. This is the insanity of this countryside up there. This looks like it's Photoshop, but it's absolutely not. This is how everything looked, and this is how the camera actually took the image. And it's just stunning, absolutely stunning to me, that this is up there. And I'm very glad that they've protected this area, and they prevent any other modifications to the terrain that will just, change that landscape forever. It's amazing. A lot of people were saying there's too many tourists up there. I could relate to that, because there was lots while we were there. So I get it. I really get it.
There was also a bride and groom there, which was really neat. Doing their wedding photos. It was gorgeous.
And jumping ahead, so this is Matt Dawson. He's the MP out there for Miramichi Grand Lake. And this is us about to go on our river tour that was on Friday morning, the 17th, a couple hours before the actual Miramichi event. So that was phenomenal. So thanks to Matt and his team for a very, very warm welcome. That was much appreciated, and we had a great event there as well. And they allowed Vincent to steer the boat for a bit. He kept wanting to try and do donuts in the boat, so they said, okay, maybe that's enough for you. But that was great that they offered him the opportunity. And this is us with Rick Perkins. So this was the us with the NP Mobile that Rick wanted to get a shot with it. A couple folks saw us on the road and gave us a honk and a thumbs up. So if you're watching, we did see you. Thank you very much. I had to keep my eyes on the road and in most cases, my hands on the wheel. So, but it's great to engage with everybody all around. And here's a shot from, or one shot from the event that we had at Captain Cat's Lobster Shack, and they have phenomenal lobster there.
Oh, the food was fantastic. Vincent devoured his lobster like almost immediately.
So that was a lot of fun. It was very tiring. And it's funny because we often get accused of how much did the Conservative Party pay you to go there? And it's so funny because these people cannot imagine that people do this out of the goodness of their heart because they believe in something.
We love going out and just meeting, folks from MP Nation all across the country. It's phenomenal. And, it was a lot of fun. I wish we could have stayed longer in Eastern Canada. We've been there before, and it's just gorgeous. And this time it was like all driving to get to the next point. Like, okay, we wake up in Hamilton, and then we have to be in Quebec by such and such a time. And then we wake up in Quebec, and then we have to be in Miramichi by such and such a time. And the driving was very tiring, but I really hope that we're able to go back sometime soon.
It was 4,400 kilometers there and back, so it was quite the drive.
And on, I guess it would have been the 18th, which was the Saturday, we got this email that our reservation for the ferry had been canceled because they canceled the ferry because there's supposed to be some sort of storm rolling in. So that put an extra, 5 hours on our trip? I don't even know. It was a long time. Instead of going from Yarmouth to the United States and Maine, we had to go like all the way up and around.
Yeah, it was extra 5.5 hours of driving is what it was. Yeah. But this is what happens, right? When EDAs reach out, like we've been suggesting to, if you want us to come, reach out and we will come.
As long as we're able.
As long as we're able. Sometimes you have to do it fairly far in advance to make it work. That's what Mike Dawson and his riding did. It was a couple months ago or something like that they did, and that allows us to try and set some things up. We did try to engage with some other folks in the in Eastern Canada. Couldn't make it work, unfortunately. So if you're wondering why we didn't stop near your area, that's most likely why that happened. But doesn't mean that's going to be our first and only trip out there, so don't worry about that. And it was great to get out to the Calgary one too. So many people came to the Calgary one.
It was amazing. And all the MPs came too. It was just fantastic. Everybody was just together to support each other. Like, it was awesome.
And just, again, special shout out to JR and Tara Cox for helping us host that event, helping us organize it. It was sponsored by Sterling Arms and the companies that are associated with that. So thank you, because it allowed us to feed everybody for free. And in this economy, we know that means a lot to folks. And at just about every event, we had people driving 3 hours. And I have to tell you this story. So at the last event, we were at Barrington Passage.
Yeah.
And that's Captain Cat's Lobster Sack. So we were saying hello to everybody and doing pictures and just chatting with people. And this gentleman came up to us and he said, okay, I got to tell you this story. And normally when anyone says, I got to tell you a story, we're getting ready. Okay, so this is like a political story. This is something about hardship. No, this was not that. What he started to tell me, and I only realized halfway through, he said, I was laying in my hospital bed. And I thought this was going to be a story about like malpractice or something. He said, and I found out you guys were coming, and I was waiting for surgery, and they said it wasn't going to be that day. So I ripped all my IVs out and put on my stuff, and I told my wife that, I got to see these guys. So he was in Halifax, in a hospital in Halifax, on a bed when he, I guess, realized that we were there that day. And he literally tore out his IVs from his arm. He's like, I'm done. Thank you very much. Get the car. We're going. And they drove right to the event from the hospital. So
that's dedication.
Ladies and gentlemen, if that's not commitment, I don't know what is. So that was an amazing story to hear, but also amazing to hear people drove all the way from British Columbia to Calgary for the event, which was just, it's so humbling to hear when people drive that far. There was people who drove 3.5 hours to the Miramichi event, to the Barrington Passage event. So just thank you so many people for being passionate about this country. Do not let that be your first and only political event. Let that be the beginning of a different journey for you, to make a difference for you, your community, and your riding, no matter where you're from. So, the more events that we do, the more we realize how amazing NP Nation is across this country. And we are just so grateful for the support that all of you have for us, for Canadian politics, and having a optimistic view of where this country is heading, but with the clarity that it's going to take a really
it's going to take a lot of work.
A lot of work to actually get there. So thank you, everybody. Start the car.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm getting a few reports that your mic is too quiet, so I don't know if you need to lean in or increase the gain perhaps.
Okay.
Hopefully
Hopefully that's better. Are you ever coming to the London area? So
we have been asked. We just don't know when.
We've been asked by 2 separate MPs to come to the London area. I don't know if we're going to be doing 2 separate events or 1 joint event, but that's up to them to fight it out. So we're talking about that. You know, at some point we got to go up to Northern Ontario or mid-Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario is like Thunder Bay. Like that's Northern Ontario.
Northern Ontario needs help right now.
But we also got to get up to the Sudbury area and Parry Sound and that. So we'll see what happens. But we're gonna be pretty busy at some point. Anyway, thank you so much, folks, and we look forward to doing more events in the future. Now, anything else? Oh yes. So there's one more very important thing we have to announce before we get to the content. Ladies and gentlemen, you have asked that we put together a shirt to commemorate the hopeful victory. I don't see how they're going to get around this without getting lots of fines. But victory over ending the longest ballot. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very proud to announce and show you that the shirts are now complete. So this is what they look like. So they were designed by Holly again, and they say "so long, longest ballot."
Yep.
And courtesy of NP Nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are available right now. If you're on X and you end up following Mr. Michael Harris. Michael Harris. Yeah. You may have already seen that it is out there because we in Calgary. He asked if you know he and his dad could get some shirts. So he said absolutely. So we sent him 2 shirts complimentary because he was a victim of the longest ballot in that he believes that they were out collecting signatures masquerading as the Libertarian Party in order to actually get these signatures when he had already been nominated, he had already been appointed, and he was already campaigning. So ladies and gentlemen, you can get the shirt if you're interested on the store. So store.northernperspective.ca, or you can get it through the northernperspective.ca website and go to NP merch at the top. So there you go, and we made the minimal design to keep the cost down as well. So have at her.
They're $30 each plus shipping and taxes.
And it has the logo down here, so you can show off that you're part of NP Nation, and it's an official Northern Perspective shirt. So there you go.
Canalita7 says, "Got to admit, Tanya looks a lot prettier with that T-shirt. No offense to Ryan."
What the hell is going on?
Thank you.
There you go. Actually, no, this is probably better.
How dare you?
Yeah, that is better.
Anyway, best shirt reveal ever? Oh, I don't know, maybe. You know, it's funny. Okay, I'm going to read these super chats first because the last one I saw, I almost want to comment on it, but I don't think I can. Let's see. Here we go. So we got Milo Nexus for $5. Remember when Rebel News warned about Carney in China and people dismissed it? Now look at where things are heading. Were they right to raise concerns?
Absolutely.
100% they were. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying that they did this, but there's always a difference between raising a concern and like creating panic. I'm not accusing Rebel of doing that, but I think if you raise a concern, that's acceptable. That's proper. If you are creating panic where there doesn't need to be, then that's something completely different that shouldn't be done.
So Jessica Van Luke for $7 sent you guys an email a couple days ago with Michelle Cameron, Culture's contact information. Hopefully we will see a stream with another great athlete. So so one of the challenges that we've actually had over the last week and a half,
it's not even been just the last week and a half, it's
a trend.
Yeah, it is a trend.
And that I would say over half of our viewers actually refuse to watch the interviews that we actually put out, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of good content in there. I know there's a bunch of people that love watching the interviews, and we see them in there every single time. That's the challenge that we have. Some people honestly just want to see us rag on Mark Carney.
Those are the most popular videos.
Which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of content to do that because Mark Carney just continues to
screw up,
be the gift that keeps on giving. But there's other important content like the interviews as well. And we don't interview people just because we can interview people. There's
usually we try to make it relevant to what's happening in politics within that week or that couple of days. Like if we need something regarding policy, we often ask Andrew Scheer if he's able to come on. We ask the staff if he's available. For example, they had made this deal with the Gordie Howe Bridge, and we were able to get Shuv Majinder on like that day. And it was funny because he had gone to, was it CBC or CTV?
CTV.
Yeah, so we had a scheduled interview time, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got called to CBC. Can we push it back?" So, again, in politics, anything can happen.
Well, but in my humble opinion, there's a good way to interview, and then there's a poor way to interview. We interview people with specific questions. We want to know certain things from them, so that's why we ask them the questions that we ask them, because either we want something confirmed that we already know, or we don't know the answer and we want to know the answer, or we think Canadians want to know the answer. So this is why we interview some of the people that we do, is because we need more information about this. So when it comes to the issue of anti-Semitism in this country, this is why we interviewed Melissa Lantsman.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we tried to get on, and were successful to get on, the ambassador of Israel. When we wanted to understand what's going on with the 232 tariffs and everything, that was the primary reason that we wanted to get Ambassador Pete Hoekstra on, to talk to him about that, but also get clarity from him, since we were able to fact check and get supporting information from the Mexican media about Canada's role in the USMCA negotiations, things like that. So for the folks that don't watch the interviews, there's a lot of actually really good questions and answers in there. So take a look at those in the future. So
we do have one more that I know of that we need to two more that we need to drop, which will probably come over the next couple of weeks. Now that we have footage, one is with MP John Barlow, and the other one is with former MP Rick Perkins. So those are going to be awesome.
Now, John Barlow, so because we were in Calgary, we talked about something that we felt was really, really important and doesn't get talked about enough, and that's farmers. And for the farmers in the audience, I know you'll appreciate that interview, and you'll appreciate actually getting some spotlight, some attention on that, because there's a lot of issues regarding farming that need to be talked about. And hopefully folks will get a sense of what is going on. And with Rick Perkins, well, if you know Rick, it goes in all these different directions, and it's just a phenomenal conversation. So
we're getting a few more comments regarding the gain on the mics. Can you give it a little boost, maybe? Yeah. Sorry, when we move things around, like when we take stuff on the road and then have to come back and set it up, sometimes it doesn't set up the way we had it set up before. But Ryan's going to work on that now.
Okay, so that's going.
Thank you to Randy Plutt, member for 18 months. And thank you to Alice Avonlea with a $5 super chat that says, "For clarity, you recognize special people by experiencing their touch without them using their hands." Okay, thank you.
All right. I boosted mine, so hopefully that's good enough. Okay. Let's get through a couple more of these, and we'll get into content. Yeah, we haven't gotten into content yet, folks.
And there's a lot of it.
Yes. Woody Doppelganger for $5. Carney's world is falling apart. Does that mean the Liberal roller coaster finally crashed and we are free from the Liberal water toucher? So it's like that second video at the Stampede. It's crashing, but it's a car crash in slow motion. So it's not going to crash immediately, but you'll see what happens. We have Janet Gage. Welcome back to NP Supporter. Thank you very much. Ficklenaut for $7. Please explain, like I'm a 5-year-old, how we are breaking the Kuzma agreement, and also the Gordie Howe Bridge, how we are breaking the CUSMA agreement. So we are breaking the CUSMA agreement by doing a couple things. So the first time we broke it was actually almost right after it was enacted. And that was with how the Canadian regulators were limiting access in a very sneaky way to the dairy market for U.S. dairy farmers. They effectively were not being allowed access at all. And so the United States filed a challenge to that, and it was found that Canada did indeed violate the agreement, and so Canada was ordered to make some changes. Canada shifted some things around. The Americans felt it had the net effect of nothing changed. They filed another challenge, but it was found that enough changes were made that Canada wasn't violating the agreement. But the Americans still didn't really have access to the dairy market.
Yeah, so what happened after the first challenge was filed and Canada was found to be in breach of this agreement, the changes were that now certain dairy producers in Canada or dairy distributors in Canada could import product from the United States, and they could import so much, and then it would be sold through them. But if you're already selling dairy, what's your incentive to import from a different country?
Yeah,
and
they
then
didn't have
sell
to.
That.
They didn't have to.
So on paper, it looked good, but in practice, it wasn't working because they were not purchasing dairy from the United States to then distribute within Canada, and it's been a bone of contention, for the Americans.
Now, and all that was done under the Biden administration. Just so we have full clarity, those challenges were made. I believe it was I believe it was under Biden. Now, the second way Canada was about to violate the USMCA was with the digital service tax. It specifically says in the USMCA that is not allowed. And then we were about to violate it again when the CRTC was going to increase the contribution fee, aka the tax, on companies like Netflix and Amazon Prime and things like that to contribute to the Canadian Media Fund, because they weren't getting the revenue that they thought they were from C18 from Facebook, so they're going to try and get it from somewhere else. And this is how they tried to do that. So again, they were going to violate it by doing that. Now, it's up for debate that Canada is violating the USMCA by deliberately not selling American alcohol on shelves as well. So there's actually a big list of things that Canada has violated CUSMA, almost violated CUSMA,
or it's debatable.
That is violating CUSMA. And now people will say, well, you guys are American shills. Well, we don't agree with any of the tariffs that Trump is putting on Canada either. So this is where we're looking at this from a objective perspective here.
Right. Facts are facts. Like, if our government is doing these things that it's being accused of, Canadian citizens should know about it. And then we should be free to contact our representatives and tell them, hey, this is not acceptable.
And if you want to look up the details of that issue where we were the ones that first started violating the USMCA, we did do a video on it. So you can look that up, and the thumbnail says we started it. That's what it says. So you can go and take that. But great question. And in terms of the Gordie Howe Bridge, so Mark Carney on July 16th said that, oh no, there's nothing to see here with this agreement, this side agreement. They're going to get almost no money, and they get half of the toll profits, and that's all they get. And that's minus debt, that's minus all of this stuff. Whereas the actual agreement was reviewed by Bloomberg, and I believe since the Globe and Mail, and they've actually confirmed that no, it's not after debt is taken out. It's before debt is taken out. So the debt doesn't get paid before the Americans actually get the share of the revenue that's coming in, and that's for 15 years. So the Globe and Mail, and I quote, said, Mark Carney appears to have contradicted himself. In real world speak, Mark Carney lied to Canadians. And most conservatives are going to not really have a shocked face. They're just going to have an angry face because they're going to say, again? So that's what's going on with the Gordie Howe Bridge. But this is actually a great segue. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The Gordie Howe Bridge, this whole issue of Mark Carney cutting a side deal with Donald Trump, where the actual agreement was with the government of Canada and Michigan to build this bridge and to open it, to finance it, and to subsidize it with the tolls. This has all come to a head because Mark Carney has done nothing with Donald Trump except capitulate. He tried to get it, well, allegedly tried to get a deal last July, couldn't move the timeline, couldn't. Allegedly had another conversation about removing all of the counter tariffs, or almost all of them, on the United States. And Donald Trump said, you can't put that digital service tax on here. So Mark Carney said, okay, fine, I won't. And everything that Donald Trump asks of Mark Carney does.
Yeah, he just concedes it. Like there's no give and take. It's just Canadians capitulating.
He gets nothing in return. Right. Now, you don't have to like Donald Trump to recognize that this is garbage.
Like, this is bad negotiating.
Right. And what you're doing is you're setting a precedent. This is why they say don't negotiate with terrorists. Why? Because you will be terrorized more. And they will know that it works. So what this is doing is it's allowing Donald Trump to say, oh, okay, I pushed the line a little more. Let's see how far I can push it.
Well, and one of the things that I found most interesting in our conversation with Ambassador Hoekstra was that he had said, like, and I'm paraphrasing, this isn't a direct quote, but he had said, Donald Trump loves making deals, so make us an offer, make us a deal. And Canada's not there to make the deal.
Right. And this leads us to the new actions that Donald Trump is threatening to take. Remember, this doesn't go into action for about 30 days. But I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. But as we showed, especially on the Gordie Howe Bridge, if you didn't watch today's video, go watch that after, because we actually show that there's liberal voting Canadians, people that are saying, I'm a fan of Carney, or I was a fan of Carney, and I don't like this. I don't like what he's doing. So these people are starting to see it. And remember what we said before when it comes to polls. We're not looking for big jumps in polls. We're looking for trends. Slow, stable trends. And ladies and gentlemen, a trend is forming. So here are the polls as of today. And this is the aggregate of all of the polls from all the pollsters. And you can see how things have gone since the 2025 federal election. That's what the far left is. Now, for those of you who may not be able to see the colors too well, we have the Liberals at the top in red and the Conservatives under that in blue. And then you have the NDP, and then you have the Bloc, and then you have the Green Party, and then everybody else slogging it out for who's ever left. But look at what's happening. And it's actually interesting. One of the other viewers had said before that everything that you guys have predicted is coming true. We're actually happy that this prediction seems to be coming true. And what it is about a year after Mark Carney's election, we are now seeing the probable, I'm not going to say definite, but probable end of his honeymoon. And it's a slow decline. It's not a sudden drop, but a slow decline. And the Conservatives are doing a slow incline. Now, where is the support from the Liberals going? Like we said would probably happen when all these environmentalists got mad at Mark Carney, they seem to be shifting down to where the NDP are. And the remainder of those going over to the Bloc. So you can see where this is starting to actually come through. Now, what's the latest polls? Well, here's Abacus, and this was published just the other day. The poll was done on July 2nd, 2026. So these are always reported in behind. So you'll see that the Liberals are only up by 6 points. 6. It's very, very small. Other pollsters show the NDP up at 14%, which is really, really good. Abacus shows them at 9%, but nevertheless, they're increasing. Even on the pollsters that don't have the NDP as high as the other ones, they're still increasing. Now, they have Avi Lewis. Avi Lewis has some pretty out there views, but he's a staunch environmentalist, or at least he's positioning the party to be, so that's where they're all going.
His views are in the stratosphere.
Well, yeah.
They're quite unusual.
Yeah. Government-controlled bread lines. I mean grocery stores. What does that remind you of?
What was the other thing, that there should be some sort of
well, they want a
worldwide tax? Somebody was talking.
Well, they want a worldwide wealth tax.
Yeah.
And excess profit tax, and they want to have a government-controlled internet and telecom system, because that's what we want out there, right? With all these censorship laws.
Well, and just, a bit of information. I had crunched the numbers like a couple years ago, and if you add up all the wealth in the world, each person ends up with about $10,000. So all these people that are sitting there going, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, they have no idea that they would be the ones losing the most amount of money.
Yep. So anyway, so where is that heading? Well, this capitulation and this change in the polls, it's actually heading for darker days for Mr. Carney, because, well, Trump just made his announcement today. So let's start taking a look at how the media is actually covering this.
Let's go to Katie Nicholson in Washington now. One big question here, Katie, is why now?
Yeah, this is like less than 24 hours after the leaders of Canada, U.S., and Mexico were at this joyous World Cup event together on stage, all this camaraderie, all the smiles, and then this afternoon, this trade bombshell. So this is being framed by the Trump administration as a defensive measure. They point to the fact that only Canada and China retaliated against that first slew of tariffs back in January of last year. And on timing, this announcement really drops on the eve of the U.S. and Mexico's bilateral trade talks resuming in Mexico. It's in sharp contrast to any sort of public or official bilateral CUSMA negotiations between the U.S. and Canada, even though, yes, we are told there are calls and officials are in frequent contact.
And this could be viewed as a pressure tactic by the U.S. in those broader trade negotiations.
Yeah, a show of force perhaps from the U.S., a little bit of Trumpian art of the deal, maximalist leverage, specifically here on things that have irked American negotiators. From an optics point of view, you also have this split screen, right? Look how well things are going for Mexico. Gee, Canada in comparison is made to look like it's standing still, with some sectors getting newly kicked in the teeth. But again, it remains to be seen just how much of a blow this might be for Canada if these kick in 30 days, or whether they can be canceled or nullified.
So that was CBC. Tell me those questions aren't scripted without telling me those questions aren't scripted. But anyway, that's another side. The interesting part is CBC is actually framing this as Canada is standing still. Canada hasn't done anything, despite the fact that we're being told that things were... The reporter literally said that. That's a CBC reporter. That's not an outside columnist. So what the CBC viewers are hearing in that conversation is that they're not doing anything. And it's funny because this is a result of a culmination of all these irritants that the U.S. has been telling Canada. When Canada initially pulled off all of the alcohol off the shelves, the U.S. didn't retaliate against that.
No, they didn't, because this has been happening for months.
They kept telling Canada, resolve it, please. Resolve it, please.
Yeah, we actually showed footage of, I believe it was Ambassador Greer speaking about this in their legislature.
Right. Yeah, within the U.S. legislature, and they're saying, yeah, we're trying to work with the Canadians on this.
And that was a few months ago.
So the fact that Mark Carney has been refusing to do anything there, well, Mark, what does Mark Carney say? That's up to the provinces, which technically it is. But what happened to Team Canada? Now it's, well, that's not me.
That's not my problem.
So what it is Mark Carney is happy for Donald Trump to be angry at Canada because he's trying to get his poll numbers up. And every time we've seen Mark Carney's poll numbers start to drop, what happens?
Well, and like Desiree's words are just ringing in my ears that Carney's brand is crisis. He manufactures crises.
Yeah,
he has to solve.
Right? It's like you're the pyromaniac, you start the fire, and then you show up as the fire department in order to fix it and say, don't worry, I'm here to put out the fire. How'd you know there was going to be a fire? I'm that good.
You know, I remember seeing an episode of Forensic Files that was exactly the case.
There you go, plug for Forensic Files.
That's a good show.
So you end up having this happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if Mark Carney does nothing, because in his announcement, what does he say he's going to do? We covered this earlier today. Well, we're going to intensify our conversations. Wow, that's gonna bring a lot of comfort to everybody. You're going to intensify the conversations. And my point was, shouldn't you have been having these intense conversations a year and a half ago, when you told Canadians this is an existential crisis of our lifetimes, and then you proceed to go on vacation? So, but this is where you can only cry wolf so many times. And based on the polls, and the polls aren't reflective of anything that's happened with the Gordie Howe Bridge, by the way. Based on the polls, it seems like Canadians are starting to wear thin to that crisis, like that crying wolf messaging all the time. But
well, and it's also interesting to see the CBC kind of going, whoa, we're not running cover for you anymore. It's almost like they flew too close to the sun and got burned, and they're like, I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down with you.
Now, we're going to go to CTV, and they say something very interesting here. And you may have to listen closely to catch it.
The one way to embolden a bully is to capitulate, and I don't think we should embolden Mr. Trump, who clearly is a bully.
That message coming from the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, this morning, who is in Charlottetown for a big Premier's conference. Some live pictures coming out of Washington, D.C. right now. President Trump threatening to target Canada with even more tariffs. Trump saying he'll hit our country with a new 50% tariff on a variety of goods in about a month, saying it's because Canadian trade practices are unfair, primarily, of course, that alcohol ban in many provinces, which is costing the U.S. alcohol industry about $500 million in wine and spirit sales not being sold in Canada. Obviously, the president is not happy about that. Let's bring in our U.S. political analyst, Eric Ham, who's coming to us from Washington. We can see the Capitol building right where he is there. Eric, good to see you. What do you make of these latest threats by the president?
Yeah, not only does this spark a potentially greater trade war between the two nations, but it also, I think, makes clear that U.S.-Canada relations have hit, again, their very lowest point. And just when you thought they couldn't go lower, what we're seeing now is these tariffs that now the president is expected to implement within the next 30 days only show just how low relations are between the two nations, which, of course, is very striking. In fact, now you have lawmakers in Congress who are pushing back on these tariffs. In fact, just last night, U.S. Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts sent a scathing letter to the White House pushing back on these tariffs. And so it remains to be seen, in fact, what the president will do, if, in fact, he will follow through on these tariffs, or if this is some sort of leverage that the president is trying to use to extract gains from Canada, as you say, over, of course, the ban on alcohol in many provinces throughout Canada.
Yeah, and it's important, Eric, for everyone to realize, you know, that Canada didn't start this. You know this. I mean, this began with President Trump hitting our country with all sorts of tariffs, and then one of the few ways in which we could retaliate were the provincial alcohol bans. It was in reaction to something that the president himself has done. It is expensive. It's costing the U.S. industry a lot of money, not just alcohol. You know as well, the protected dairy industry in our country has long been a problem for the president. He says it's unfair. There's also issues with the auto sector as well. The fact that there's a month delay, and this is set to come into effect on August the 19th, Eric, what does that say to you?
Well, what that says is that gives at least time for negotiations as well as, of course, legal responses as well. It's unclear if these tariffs will actually be allowed to stay in place. We know President Donald Trump has had many of his tariffs overturned in court. And so what also, too, we cannot, I think, dismiss the fact that the White House used such an obscure provision to actually implement these tariffs makes clear that this was methodical, and also it was very clear that it was deliberate as well. And so what we're seeing here is this tit for tat playing out, especially given the fact that we know President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Mark Carney were just together at the FIFA World Cup finals. And of course, there could have been conversations around this. And the fact that this caught so many off guard, including here in the United States, makes it evident that President Donald Trump clearly believes that Canada is deeply problematic. And what you're seeing now is a president who is moving away from America's traditional and most ardent allies that we have seen have been a benefit to the United States for the last 60 years. And of
Okay, so there's a few pieces in there. Number one, this gentleman is trying to characterize the relationship with Canada and the United States has never been so low. Okay.
What about 1812?
Apparently this is lower than that.
We burned that White House down.
Now,
we weren't really Canada at that point, though.
The relationship between Canada and China has been characterized as icy or frosty. So what did Mark Carney do? He decided to go and form a strategic partnership with that frosty and icy country. What has he not done with Donald Trump?
Talk to him?
Anything.
Well, and that's why I thought it was just ironic that they said one of the ministers had sent a, sternly worded letter that works for constituents, but you guys are the professionals. Pick up the phone and call your counterpart in the United States.
Right? And it's also interesting that Mark Carney seems to admire all these other leaders in Europe, but Canada is one of only 2 countries that actually retaliated tariffs against the United States. Now, should we or shouldn't we have? I'm not the Prime Minister, so I don't have to answer that question. But my point is that you have Mark Carney, who's responsible for the relationship with the United States. In our interview with Shub Majumdar, he said the Prime Minister of Canada, every morning he should be waking up worrying about that relationship with the United States. Like it or not, the United States is Goliath, we're David, and we don't have a slingshot. So you have to make nice with our neighbors to the south. They're the largest economy in the world. Pretending that you can walk away from that economy and go somewhere else is ridiculous. You're essentially at the oasis in the middle of the desert and saying that you're going to find a bigger oasis in the middle of the desert. It's not realistic, and you're gaslighting everybody if you're trying to actually sell them that. The other thing he says is, President Trump, finds something deeply problematic with Canada. Now, Trump, he's probably doing these tariffs because he's worried about the fact that the Republicans may have a chance to lose the House when it comes to the midterms. So he's going to lose support, and that's going to be a problem for Mr. Trump. Maybe this is his way of doing it. Maybe not. But either way, it's happening. And it's happening because we have done nothing to salvage this relationship.
Well, and I also found it was very interesting that the CTV reporter had said, we didn't start this.
Yeah.
We did, actually. And just because you fix something on paper doesn't mean that it's fixed. And if you're trying to have a positive relationship either with a person or with another country, you don't want to use those kind of sneaky tactics and be like, oh, well, it's fixed. It doesn't do anything to resolve the problem.
Right. So there's blame to go on both sides here. So Canada has messed up a lot and caused irritants, and the United States has done the same. Let's not pretend that that isn't the case. So both sides need to get together and they need to resolve this because, this leads into some other issues. But before we get to there, where am I at next?
Sorry, because you just hit something on my laptop and then the fan just started going hog wild. So I think I fixed it. I hope I fixed it.
When it comes to the Gordie Howe Bridge, one of the biggest problems is that Canadians haven't seen this agreement that Mark Carney has been caught lying about. American news media has. Why haven't Canadians? Why hasn't the official opposition? So the Conservatives are going to try and do something about it. So they're going to try and use Parliament to actually unveil the details of the U.S. border bridge deal. So what are they going to try and do? Well, when they get back to Parliament, they're going to call to go back to Parliament, but they don't have a majority, so they're not going to be able to go. But they may try and open a study, which the Liberals were probably going to try and shut down, or who knows. But they're also going to try to order documents be proposed. Now, this is going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating because the other opposition parties will no doubt side with the Conservatives. So you'll have all the opposition parties putting forth a motion to order the government to hand over the documents for the bridge deal. And the Liberals will vote no. Unless they surprise everybody and vote yes. Or unless they surprise everybody and release it. But that would be a problem for Mr. Carney. If this is such an insignificant deal, it's a nothing burger, why don't we see it? If it matches everything you say, why don't we see it, Mr. Economist? So this is the question. But this is all coming to a head because no matter what Mr. Carney does, the economy keeps on rolling. And the economy is rolling in the opposite direction, despite the fact that people like to cherry pick data. Ladies and gentlemen, the Labor Force Survey, June 2026. So this is the monthly jobs reports that we follow very, very closely from StatsCan. Again, Mark Carney's own government here. So employment dripped a little bit to 6.5%. So it went down by 0.1 points. So more people are now employed. And the net jobs actually increased by 18,000. So why did that happen? Well, that was mainly because of youth and summer jobs and all of that. Okay, fine. So you can see that youth age 15 to 24 fell 0.7 percentage points to 12.7% in June, following a 0.9 percentage point decline in May. The youth unemployment rate in June was comparable to the recent low of 12.8% observed in November 2025 and January 2026, when that seasonal work kit kicked in. However, it remains higher than the pre-pandemic average of 10.8%. So unemployment is still 2% higher than it was pre-pandemic. This is where all of the alarm bells are starting to kick in, folks. Employment increases in accommodation and food service while it falls in manufacturing. Check this out. Employment in accommodation and food services rose by 15%. So that's your seasonal jobs in the summer by youth. Third consecutive monthly increase. Gains in June were concentrated in Quebec. That's fine. On a year-over-year basis, employment in accommodation and food services was up by 39,000. On the other hand, employment in manufacturing decreased by 17,000 jobs in June, offsetting the increase in May that the government crowed about. And employment in manufacturing has recorded a net decline of 61,000 jobs from the recent peak in January 2025, coinciding with a period of tariff-related uncertainty for the sector. Tariff-related, folks. Tariff-related.
Well, and you would think that the Prime Minister would see these numbers and, I don't even know the right word.
Get to the negotiating table?
Yeah, like run to the negotiating
Start
table.
the car?
Yeah.
Start the car? Now, here's the graph, folks. Look at this. So this was in the past month. Look at how many jobs manufacturing lost. So if the bar is to the left of the center of the graph, that means you lost jobs in that sector. Look what's happened. So basically the top ones, this is all retail, and it's camping, it's seasonal work. That's what the majority of that is.
Yeah, people traveling across the country, going to hotels. It's patio season. People are going to restaurants, this sort of thing.
Now, this is all connected. And what this is demonstrated by is a report from KPMG. You may have seen the Conservatives talking about this. You may not. If you haven't, this may be a little jarring. But this is all reflected in terms of these manufacturing jobs going into the garbage by this report. 4 in 10 Canadian manufacturers eye U.S. production move. Nearly 6 in 10 manufacturers have delayed, reduced, or canceled capital investments amid trade uncertainty and competitiveness concerns. 1 year after manufacturers warned that U.S. tariffs posed an existential threat to their business, a new KPMG survey finds 4 in 10 manufacturers have moved production to the U.S. or are considering doing so as they adapt to ongoing trade uncertainty and mounting competitiveness measures. Survey of 275 manufacturers finds that 57% say that they have paused, reduced, or canceled capital expenditure projects. 42% have scaled back or paused research and development spending. More than half say they are currently operating in endurance mode. Key survey findings: 42% say they have already moved production to the U.S. or are considering doing so. 29% have moved some or all production. 13% have not moved production but plan to move some or all. Of those considering relocation, 77% expect to move within 2 years. More than half, 52%, of manufacturers say they are operating in endurance mode. 57% have paused, reduced, or canceled capital investment, as we said before. And we talked about research. Check out this. The survey finds that manufacturers remain heavily dependent on the U.S. market. Duh. With 61% agreeing their business cannot survive without access to it. 86% of manufacturing exports goods outside Canada, and among exporters, 96% say their products are CUSMA compliant, meaning they are not subject to tariffs. While tariffs are an obvious factor, Canadian manufacturers are making long-term decisions about where to locate based on a broader assessment of where they are most likely to have a competitive advantage. Now, what does this mean? When Mark Carney is trying to tell Canadians that Canada is open for business, look at the reality.
We're actually losing jobs in some of our major sectors. And I mean, you've heard the testimony of individuals, not only in committee, but that we've also had here on the show, who have said, once the manufacturing industry is gone from Canada, it will not come back.
Here's the other problem. Businesses, in some ways, are like cruise ships. They're similar to the government. When you make a decision, you're making that months, sometimes years in advance. And once you make that decision, it's usually you're committed to it. So when a business says, "Okay, I'm going to move, but I'm not moving for 2 years," don't take that as, well, okay, so that gives Mark Carney 2 years to actually fix the problem. No. It's too late. When they say that we're moving, that means they've gone down to the United States. They've talked to politicians. They've talked to regulators. They've obtained permits. They're starting construction. Or they've gained the lease. And they're working on wind-down plans for their Canadian operations and spin-up plans for their American operations, because it's going to take time to actually move equipment and equip their facilities and get everything running. That's what that means. So for these businesses that have said we're moving, time's up.
Yeah, and I mean, Mark Carney is just allowing these jobs to bleed to the USA. And I mean, again, nothing against our friends in the United States, but why are we as Canadians just so readily giving up these jobs?
Now, that last part is where liberals will try and focus on it. Well, see, 96% of these companies that have answered this survey said that their goods are CUSMA compliant, right? But, and this is the big but, they're seeing that Mark Carney is not doing anything. They're seeing that all that has happened over the last year and a half is more tariffs are coming on more industries, on more products, in greater amounts. So what does that signal to them if you're a business owner? It's only a matter of time before it hits me. So, as a responsible business owner, I can wait for the tidal wave that I can't see in the distance yet to come and hit my business, or I can proactively get out of the way and move. And this is what has been happening with our manufacturing sector. This is the silent decline that you do not hear the mainstream media talking about, that we have been trying to sound the alarm since April of this year, thanks to our friends, our newfound friends in the mold, tool, and die industry down in Windsor, thanks to all of the conservatives that have been working on this file relentlessly for, well, since April and even longer than that. This is what's been happening. And it's happening under everybody's nose. And what the Liberals are hoping that will happen is they can keep offsetting these manufacturing jobs by saying, "Oh, see, we have more jobs in the youth sector." Well,
yeah,
guess
we
what?
gained jobs this month or last month or whatever you want to say. But again, are we gaining full-time, high-paying, unionized jobs, or are we gaining, part-time waitressing jobs? And that's not to say, those are bad jobs, but they're not full-time, so it's not stimulating our economy as much. They're not paid as highly.
So if you're a foreign business, think of it this way. Mark Carney is saying $1 trillion of investments coming into Canada. Oh, really? If you're a foreign business and you're saying, you know what, I'll like to open an operation overseas. Let's look at Canada. Oh, there's this KPMG report. Oh, 42% of Canadian businesses are moving from Canada to the United States. Okay. Clearly, we should be looking at the United States instead. That's what that tells them. And there's other economists that are saying Canada does not have an environment that is welcoming to business right now. Look at it. There's tariffs everywhere, and a prime minister who has no willingness and no urgency to actually get these tariffs resolved. So, ladies and gentlemen, time to get out those letters, time to get out those pens, and time to get out those keyboards and emails and write a Liberal MP, write your Conservative MP, write any MP you want, and talk to them about the fact that this is unacceptable, that our manufacturing business is on a steady decline under Mark Carney, and they need to do something, and they need to do something right now, because some of these businesses have already made the decision and they're never coming back. So this is the problem. And you just watch. There's not going to be a single union that's going to be, at least in the manufacturing sector, that is going to be backing Mark Carney in the next election. I can reliably predict that. So anyway, folks, there's a lot in there. That was a lot of what we missed in the last couple of weeks. We couldn't get to everything that we missed, but
There was a lot, but we're hoping to cover it over the next little while.
Well, we'll probably be.
Well, the more.
We'll be neck deep in the new stuff too. So
yeah, true.
We'll try to incorporate anything that we could.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Anyway, Myron ends for $20. Jan Arden is less smart than a twit.
Is that a kind of bird? Thank
you for that. It's probably as dumb as we think it is. Heart Singer for $10 for a treat to recover. These horses work 8 seconds, LOL, and have the best life. As a horse person, I can say horses will buck even without the flank strap just for joy. Yeah.
That's true. When they get really happy and excited, they'll just kind of be silly in their pens.
And Fickle Knot for $7. Thank you, too, for all you do. Thankful for cool heads in this crazy politicking. I thought that said pot-licking. Liberal loony land. God keep our land from communism. Amen to that.
Yeah.
And Jessica Van Luke for $7. Laureen Harper once said when Jan Arden came to 24 Success, she called her cat Stanley fat.
Aww.
Jan is even rude to cats.
What? You know, I'll call our cats chunky. I'll be like, oh, you're such a chunky monkey, and I'll like pet their bellies and stuff, but I wouldn't just be like, your cat is fat.
You want to be destroyed!
Wow. Just wow.
How dare you?
Myron Nance for $20. Anyone who has ever broken a horse for riding has likely gone through some of that, no doubt.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And Harman Singh for $10. NP, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. I hope liberal abuse of power and an unaffordable environment comes to an end soon. Locked out of the housing market myself. Can't think of a way around. Peer for PM. Love Canada. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's rough. Like a lot of the younger folks that we speak to in the various EDAs that we're involved with, they say the same thing. Like, you know, I'm in my late 20s. I still live with my parents. I can't get a house. I can't start a family. You know, you don't want to be trying to start a family in your mom's basement.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tragic. Like, life is not supposed to be this way, and I think if we all come together, it will not be this way any longer.
Indeed. And then we have Lawrence Neal, member for 25 months. As my friend Mr. Spock is fond of saying, I like to think that there are always possibilities. I think of the possibility at the next election, the future of this country, and the greatness we could achieve. Well said. Well said.
Thank you very much. I think we all needed to hear that this evening. Thank you.
Revis A's for $5. Ooh, other things non-normative. My brains and Tuesday streams.
Thank you, Mercedes. It was a pleasure to meet you in Calgary.
Hopefully I did your super chat justice there. Rusty Shackelford, good to see you for $10. Heaven forbid someone go out there on their own and talk politics, meet people, and make it into a family vacation. Not everything has to be political, party paid. Glad you guys enjoyed the trips.
We definitely, I think, enjoyed, like, we have more downtime in Calgary, whereas when we went out east this time, it was all driving.
Our downtime was driving.
Yeah, it was just driving. So I think we do want to get back out to both locations, but especially out east, because it would be nice just to be able to sightsee and do fun stuff too.
Well, and one of the reasons, the main reason that we drove out east is because driving for 400 kilometers and staying in hotels along the way
5 nights, yeah,
was cheaper than flying.
Yeah.
Something is not right with this picture. If only we had a high-speed train.
Don't say that. Not even joking.
How dare you?
We have Carolyn Ross for $2. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you very much. And Carol Rion for $2. Best shirt reveal ever. Yep. Stephen C for $5. Ooh, Thomas isn't going to like those shirts. I'll take one. So.
They are online. We just have them in black. Only the ladies and the men's versions. I don't know. We figured they might even have a limited run. I don't know.
Until the next by-election? No.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
They'll be available for a while yet. Myron ends for $20. Mark Carney is proving to be the clown his name implies. He definitely is a Carney. And transcription for $5. Canada sent Carney to Radio Shack with one spot left on the Battery Club card, dreaming of a 9-volt, and he keeps coming back out with a single AA. Nice. I don't even know if there's many people that will get that. But actually, with the demographic that's in here, I think many of us will. Myron ends for $20. Jolie went for the American wine. Yeah. She also partakes in Canadian wine all the time. Repeat in BC for $2. Fun Friday. Got to host Mr. Shear at my house.
Oh, very cool.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Did you play an episode of Northern Perspective for him? No. Okay. And AJP, remember, for 28 months, John Brassard is my MP. I was pumped for the video.
Awesome.
Indeed. Yeah, a lot of people are excited to see their MP when they actually come on. And it's funny, the MPs are starting to almost view it as a rite of passage. Like, it's bizarre because it took a long time to network enough to actually get any of the MPs on the show, and understandably so. And now it's flipped. So it's very interesting.
It's cool. I mean, you might need another sign
That's going to fill up with all the...
Johnny O and his wife brought us this sign, and we use it as our guest book now. And it's an old Pierre election sign, and I think we might need a new one.
We may need a Battle River Crowfoot Pierre Poilievre sign for the next one. So we'll see. We'll talk to Damien and see what he can do for us. Lazarus for $10. Ironic, Trump wants our government to actually do their jobs, and yet he's a huge reason we have the most corrupt government. It's exhausting in this country. We have a lot of stupid people in Canada.
I think we have a lot of people who are misinformed. Based on exit polls from the election last April, I think it was something like 47% of the people that they surveyed said that they cast an uninformed ballot. That's scary. Because, I mean... those of us who actually pay attention to politics and the policies and the costed platforms and the politicians and all these things, we go in and cast our ballot, but then somebody just kind of walks in off the street and puts a check mark and that's it. That's not how democracy is supposed to function. And when you have an ill-functioning democracy, unfortunately, things like this happen.
Well, and that 47%, that's an indictment of the Canadian news system.
Yeah, 100%.
And the saying goes, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you watch the news, you're misinformed. That needs to change. And that's,
watch Northern Perspective. We're not technically news.
Yeah. So we don't fit into that saying. Rose says for $5, it's almost... Oh, no, I already said that. Oh, no. It's almost like the Trump is doing everything he can to engage with our government, but Carney and company literally are refusing. But hey, elbows up, right? And Iron Creed, remember, for 28 months, Ford coming to the rescue just as Lib polls tanking, right?
That's not suspicious at all.
Just as the Liberal polls are going down. Oh, let's tick off Donald Trump. So... And Randy from Northern Perspective.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Randy.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary.
Isn't this what we thought in the last election regarding polls? Isn't this what we thought in the last... I'm trying to remember what that's referring to.
That the Conservatives were, a majority for so long, and then right at the bottom it crashed. Right at the end.
Maybe, but that's what's happening to the Liberals now. So, but this is...
Yeah, we'll see.
So again...
I think Canadians are going to have much less patience for the Carney government than they did for the Trudeau government. They're not giving the Carney government 10 years. That's my prediction.
No, and again, I think this is going to go the same way Ontario did, as Tony keeps talking about with Kathleen Wynne. Yeah. They changed leaders, they won an election, they said, oh yeah, now things will change, and they didn't. And... it didn't go well.
And then we got stuck with Doug Ford. Yay.
Yeah. But we got Buck a beer.
Woohoo. I don't even drink beer.
Yeah. Rosewater for $5. Just placed my order for the longest ballot t-shirt. Thank you very much for all you do. Thank you. Cheers, Patty J from Ottawa. Awesome.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Pick on that for $7. Mark Carney is, in my opinion, will continue to have support as long as he can convince Canadians that Trump is the biggest threat to us, not China. Well, but... this is going to be the issue, right? If he continues not to stand up to Trump, that narrative is going to be a big problem. And if he doesn't get something done with Trump, that narrative is going to be a big problem. This is a long-term, slow-closing bear trap that I don't think he's going to get out of. And it's just a matter of time. It's not going to happen immediately. As we said, slow decline. But slowly, people are starting to realize this guy isn't who he said he was. He may have read the book about economics, but that doesn't mean you're an economist. Just ask Catherine Swift in our interview with her. Revisays for $5. When Dougie took alcohol off the shelves, it took forever for him to pour it out. Yeah, that was the funny part. He's like, I'm done with this. And
well, it's because he tipped it right upside down pretty much, and the air wasn't getting in there to displace the alcohol.
Doug didn't go to chemistry and science class.
No.
His brother was the smart one. When is his Liberal membership due? I don't know. I haven't looked. And Kimmer for $14. And MJC is going to Beijing on Wednesday to meet Xi instead of Washington to see Donald Trump to discuss if this is not another poke at Donald J. Trump. This is not going to go over well.
Wow, that's bad.
Right?
I don't like that at all.
Tariffs are coming our way from China. We go to see China. Tariffs are coming our way from Donald Trump.
We go to see China.
We go to see China. And Leonard for $5. Nice to see the polls tightening, but why is it taking Canadians so long to wake up to the reality of this insane government? Because Canadians don't pay attention to the politics of what's going on average on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, a lot of Canadians just pay attention around the election. And I think if your quality of life or your cost of living are not getting worse, then a lot of people just aren't paying attention. We saw a stat today, I can't remember from where, but it said that people 60 and up vote by and large Liberal. Not to say they all do, but a lot of them do compared to those that are 60 and up and vote Conservative. And I think it's not affecting these folks the way that it is the younger generations.
So what I read in the Abacus poll, 52% of people over the age of 60 are voting Liberal, and that's the only demographic that is like in a solid win column for the Liberals. 32%. So all the other boomers, 32% of those that are left, you guys vote Conservative.
Right. And I think it's because a lot of people in that Liberal voting demographic, they probably have a paid off house. Maybe they even have a cottage.
They do. And that's the funny thing. The Abacus poll is actually kind of revealing because all those questions are in there. So yeah, most of them have a paid off house.
Yeah.
Most of them probably have a place in the U.S. that they can go to, and they're snowbirds and like all this stuff. And they're like, I don't see a problem. I have lots of money.
So if you're, if your house is paid off, you're not paying a mortgage, and you're not feeding a gaggle of children, your grocery bill's probably smaller, you might not see it as much. And then those of us that are, still paying off a mortgage or trying to raise children, these sorts of things, like we see the prices at the grocery store. Like I went to Costco today, and the burgers that we usually buy were $40, and I was like, oh, that's not happening.
Right.
It's just insane.
Rose says for $5, could we get Jamil to talk to JD and have the USS Gerald R4 to come park in Toronto Harbor for a few weeks? I was asking for a friend. That'd be a little bit of a journey for the Ford.
We have the Haida in Hamilton.
It's not the same.
No.
Not at
It's
all.
pretty cool though. You get to walk around it.
The Haida is like 1/6 the size of the aircraft carrier.
It's still fun.
That's great. Brad Bounds for $5. Carney will be actually the Haida is pretty cool. Go see the Haida. Brad Bounds for $5. Carney will be fleeing in November. Pierre Poilievre will step into his rightful place, but he is going to be overwhelmed. Oh, I guess we'll see.
I don't know though. I think he's got a great team behind him, and obviously we hope he becomes prime minister sooner rather than later. But I think he's been preparing for this for a long time, because pretty much all the things that he's been saying have come true as well.
Yep. And Lazarus for $10. It's going to get violent and bloody here. Worse it gets, the closer we're going to get to those dark times. Keep being told that it's not the Canadian way. I say to them, open a history book. Well, I guess we'll see, right? I hope it doesn't. I think everybody hopes it doesn't. And
the pen is mightier than the sword, right?
And we encourage everybody to do what they can to keep it peaceful. We're actually going to be doing an interesting story on political violence in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Because it's getting nasty.
It is getting nasty. And now that we have our faces out there and we travel a lot to different places with our son, sometimes I get scared, because it's not just politicians who have been attacked. Look at Charlie Kirk. He was not a politician.
So in a way, thank goodness we're not as big as Charlie Kirk. Brian Campbell for $20. Hi, you two. Welcome back to Ontario, but I need to ask you something. Does Marky Mark actually believe and think us true Canadians are really this stupid? Here's the thing. I don't think he cares. That's even worse.
Yeah.
I think he just says, well, this is my messaging, and that's how it's going to be. And bye, I'm going to China. Oh, things are starting to get difficult. I'm going to go to my homeland, China. Oh, oops. So, it's I think it's worse. And Dawes for $5, 28-year-old paying $1,200 for a single bedroom apartment. Have a wife and a 4-month-old baby girl. I hope something happens soon. This is getting impossible. Wow.
I'm so sorry. Like, it's just, it's not fair to the generations that are younger than us and are trying to, you know, do all those things that our parents did, right? Get a home, get married, have a family. And then they complain that, the government complains that our birth rates are down. Well, who can afford to have a family?
Right.
And it makes me so sad that in today's society, babies are considered luxury items because Canadians literally cannot afford to have another mouth to feed. It's awful. And I have faith that if we keep speaking out, if we keep writing our MPs, and even the MPs that aren't ours, that eventually this will get turned around and that things will get better.
Well, it's that time again.
Oral questions, oral questions.
Oral questions.
Let's be careful about some of the words we use. People are watching at home. Their kids are watching.
All right, it is NP question period time, and unlike regular question period, we actually provide answers. If you would like to ask a question, just tag at Randy from Northern Perspective, and he will copy and paste the questions for us. We're going to try to get through as many as we can. Starting with Diane Martin asks, do they think Carney will still call an election in the fall? It has been rumored before, but now that USMCA has tanked, will he risk it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the only way he will call an election early is if he thinks it can get him more seats than he has now. But there's no guarantee because which prime minister was it that they tried to do that and then just got decimated?
I think it was Martin.
Yeah.
And yeah, didn't happen. So you have to wonder at what point, but there's been a lot of missteps, and I think there's been a miscalculation as to how long it's going to take Canadians to actually become wise to what Mark Carney is about. And this is why a lot of commentators, including us, were saying early on that this isn't going to be your Justin Trudeau Liberal government where they're going to get a lot of long leash. Bob Fife, you know, in one of the recent interviews, he's like, oh, you know, Mark Carney will eventually get some criticism. You know, he's getting, what was the term that he used? He's getting the benefit of the doubt. And I said, why is he getting benefit of the doubt from the media? That's not their job to get benefit of the doubt. Their job is to call crap out. So start calling crap out. And I don't know. I really don't know. Mark Carney, he has a plan, and some of it won't be revealed until all the pieces come together. But who knows? Maybe he decides, yep, I put in all of the long-term policy that the next government is just going to leave in place, and then I can ride off into my sunset. Depends on what time that is. I think at some point he's going to get sick, absolutely sick of having to answer questions, of having to be accountable to the Canadian people.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to just bother him to such a point where he's just like, I'm done. We actually, we met somebody that used to work at the Bank of Canada. Is that right?
Yes.
And while Mark Carney was the governor of the Bank of Canada, he came in for a tour. And this person was assigned to Mark Carney to walk around with him to the different rooms and things like that, and to answer any questions that he may have. Mark Carney didn't say a single word to this guy. He refused to talk to people under a certain pay grade. So that was back then. And he's had a couple different more prestigious positions since then. So what do you think he's like now? He doesn't like kissing babies. He doesn't like talking to people. He doesn't like having to answer questions and then having those questions followed up because he didn't give an acceptable answer.
Especially if they're coming from a female reporter.
There you go.
He hates that, as we've observed. Next question's from That Real OG. It says, how was your time out in Alberta? Where did all you guys eat and see for tourism? It was fantastic. We absolutely loved it. We were there for 10 days. And
I wish we could go to the Cattle Baron more than once. We actually did take some people's advice, and we went to the Cattle Baron, and it was phenomenal. The service was phenomenal as well as the food. So we did that.
We stayed in a Airbnb in De Winton, which was nice because my parents had one room and then the three of us had the other room.
And the hotels were all super expensive for Stampede, so we said no thank you.
Yeah, but because we were there for 10 days and our interviews were pretty spaced out, we actually had time to do stuff, which was great. So we went to the mountains twice, which was fantastic. And we went to Drumheller once, where we found this phenomenal restaurant, and we made a post about it already. It was called Prairie Modern Kitchen, and everything was home cooked, handmade by I believe her name was Alicia. It was like the best food I have ever had.
Best hamburger I've ever had is there, in my life, literally.
And it was somebody had said it was where the bumper boats used to be. So it's like just down the street from the Royal Tyrrell Museum, and if you are in that area, I highly recommend that you go there because it was just phenomenal, like best food I've ever eaten. There was also we went to an Italian place in Okotos.
Emilio's, I think.
Or Adelio's.
Adelio's.
Yeah. Really great.
That was good.
Yeah. My dad liked it because, we're Italian, right? My parents are both Italian, and my dad knows Italian food, so if he liked it, that means it was really good.
We hit I think the main highlights. We took Tanya's parents up into the tower, so that was good, so they could see that. And
Vincent loved the glass floor. Oh my god.
I didn't. I had to go down early because I was done. But we saw the mountains, Lake Louise, Moraine Lake. We did the gondola. We saw the rock. There's this rock that's in.
It's in Okotos, right?
In
Okotos Erratic, I think it's called, and we will be releasing a members-only video about that. Because again, the members-only stuff that we do end up releasing, it's not
non-critical.
Yeah, it's like cat videos or just stuff.
Yeah. Gordon Meir says Tanya is Italian. I had no idea. Yeah, it's because she dyes her hair. That's why. So.
Also, I look more like my mom's family, who's from the north. So I don't have that Mediterranean olive skin tone. I'm very, very pasty.
Yep.
Next question is from Jessica Van Luke. It says, I'm hearing from other people who can't stand Corey and that the best way to deal with him and Nick is just to ignore them and not make a big deal. Thoughts?
100%. So I have given some suggestions to folks. And here's the thing with this. Pierre has to address it. He's he made the one comment on the barbecue, and everyone is just clutching pearls and all of this over that.
I thought it was funny.
It was humorous. But what I think he needs to do is he needs to publicly go out there and say, all right, listen, to anyone who brands himself as a conservative, we have a common purpose right now. And the common purpose is to get this country back on track. In order to do that, we need to get rid of this Liberal government. So I'm calling on everybody. Join me in doing so. And in that effort, I'm going to be extending my hand to all of the Conservative premiers, Doug Ford, Tim Houston, Scott Moe, Daniel Smith, and I'm going to be having a summit of sorts to make sure that I have a very clear understanding and the party has a clear understanding of how the Conservatives can actually help them in their fight in their provinces to restore the promise of Canada, because that's what he says, the promise of Canada. And to people like Corey tonight and all of them, if you truly brand yourself as a Conservative, come join with us and let's figure this out and let's get the Liberals out. And I'm asking you, if you have constructive criticism, if you have suggestions, let's talk about it in private and let's move forward together, because otherwise everything else is a distraction. We have bigger priorities, and that priority is Canada. Now, people will be like, well, why would you say that, Corey? So you say that because there's no way Corey is going to do that. However, what it does do is it puts Pierre on the front foot and Corey on the back foot, because Pierre standing out there doing that, it's prime ministerial, shows maturity, calling for unity, mending fences with all of the different conservative leaders. And that's what our country needs right now. So any further attacks by Corey and his minions, they actually come off looking really, really petty and really, really bad, because you have Pierre extending an olive branch and they're not taking it. So, and I see some people saying no Doug Ford. I get it, but Pierre's prime minister. You have to work with everybody, right? So you need to show the swing voters that I'm willing to work with people. But here's the other reason you need to do that. There's a lot of conservatives out there that believe, and everybody that watches Northern Perspective already knows this, but and on the off chance that you don't, they believe that the Conservative Party is the federal Conservatives and all the provincial Conservatives as well, which is not the case. The BC, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, and all down the line, each of those provinces that have a Conservative Party there is not connected in any way, shape, or form to the federal Conservative Party. So they can do whatever they want. They're separate organizations.
It's kind of like, this might sound kind of lame, but it's kind of like how bumblebees and wasps and hornets all have the same banding. Like, they're all branded the same, so you kind of all recognize them the same, but that doesn't mean that it had the same origin.
So a lot of conservatives, and some I've even talked to, have said, well, I haven't renewed my membership because, the Conservative Party keeps fighting with itself. Well, it's not. It's different conservative parties, or parties that call themselves conservative parties. They're fighting each other. And this is the problem. But this is where Pierre and his team have the work to do. If you can get some of these provinces to stand next to you and say, you know what? Let's go. You can actually make some progress here. And it nullifies some of these attacks that are coming against you. So that's what I would suggest. He has to address it. In any other scenario, Jessica, I think you're right. Ignoring it and they just go away. But I think he says this, and then that's the last he says about it, and then he ignores it and moves on. That's what I think.
Well, I think there's two camps, right? I think the comment at the barbecue you could perceive as a warning shot and be like, I know you're talking bad about me. Stop. That's how I interpreted it. But others may say, well, he shouldn't have said anything at all. So I guess it just kind of depends on your personality and your conflict resolution style. Next question is also from Jessica. It says, thoughts on Garnet Genesis' comments at a Muslim event about multiculturalism. Many people said he sounded like Trudeau, but I didn't think so. So I will confess I did not see the video. I did not read what he had said in any fashion, but I saw a lot of the people lashing out at him. And I think a lot of the folks saying those things online forget that as an MP, your responsibility is to all of your constituents. Doesn't matter where they came from initially. They're Canadian now. You represent them. That's your job.
And like it or not, folks, conservatives need Muslims just as they need Christians, just as they need Jews, just as they need Hindu and Punjab, and like all of these different
atheists and everybody.
All these demographics,
everybody.
You need everybody to win an election.
And you represent everybody in your riding. You represent all of them. It doesn't matter what their religion is. Or is not even. Going
to events, listening to people's concerns is very different than saying I'm going to be implementing every single thing that this demographic wants. That's very different. So it's something that politicians have to be aware of, right? You can't afford to say, I'm not interested in that demographic. You have to be very careful with that. Now, if the demographic is something that is, well, I'm not even going to go down that path. We can
next one's from that real OG. It says, do you guys see yourselves actually packing up and moving out west? What I had said to Ryan while we were out there is, if I was like fabulously rich, I could see myself like summering out there, just because I don't know if I can handle the winters. But I absolutely loved our trip out there. Everybody was fantastic. Like we were in the, not the grandstands, but kind of like off to the side watching the rodeo, and a lady was walking up the steps with a bag of popcorn, and I wasn't watching Vincent because I was watching what was happening, and I think he reached and tried to grab some of her popcorn, and then she just stopped and she's like, oh, do you want some popcorn? Is it okay if I give him some popcorn? Like, here in Hamilton, you'd probably get punched. You know what I mean?
Well, then there'd be fighting words, and then
right?
we get arrested.
You would never find that kind of kindness here in Hamilton. I mean, like, maybe, but it would be so rare. And everybody was just kind like that, and it was just incredible. Dark Magician 6898 asks, have there been any conversations about doing a joint stream with Moose on the Loose, Jasmine Lane, or the Elevate Report? I'd like to see all the minds come together.
Not at this point.
I mean, we have asked some of them in the past, but
honestly, everyone is so busy and
Yeah.
focused on their own stuff. Like we ran into Jasmine at the in Calgary, and you know, we had a hug and said hello and exchanged some words. She was busy with her itinerary. We were busy with ours, and you know, just everybody is so busy. And this is why, you know, we typically don't have time to watch anybody else's stuff. They don't have any time to watch anybody else's stuff because everyone is just constantly trying to keep up with the fast pace of what is going on in this country right now. Like, 20% of almost 20% of our audience is Americans, and they're watching our stuff because it's their version of like a badly written Netflix channel, but it's Canada. And it's the politics in Canada. Like, they watch it for entertainment. So think about that. With all of the options that Americans have to watch for entertainment, and they're choosing to watch us incorporated into everything else that they watch. So honestly, there's too much work to do. There's literally too much work to do.
well, and a large chunk of our day, like say we put out a 30-minute video, there is over an hour of editing for you. Plus, if we're putting out a 30-minute video, that's probably 45 minutes to an hour of filming, and then all the research behind it. I mean, the researching sometimes takes us days. So, yeah.
So our schedule used to be, I would film in the early afternoon. Well, I would research in the morning, film in the early afternoon, and then we would release something mid-afternoon,
research again,
and then research, and then I would film after Vincent went to bed, and then do that for a drop in the morning. The problem is I never got any time to myself.
Well, and then you have to do like all that adult stuff, like, you know, grocery shopping and cooking meals and cleaning the house and raising the children.
So I was getting like super burnt out, and so what I ended up having to do is shift the schedule. So then it was get up, research, and put something together for a early afternoon drop, and then research, and then put something together for the evening drop, and then I would take some time for myself, but still research. That's why you sometimes see these breaking news things that happen at like 10 at night or 11 at night, and then, you know, go to bed at midnight, 1 o'clock, and then we start everything over the next day. So
yeah, and
that's
you guys probably won't see me very much this week, maybe not even over the rest of the summer, because Vincent's home, and because we've been away for about 3 weeks, I have to like get the house back in order. Like there were no groceries in the fridge when we came home on Monday.
Yeah.
James Harris says, how long until Carney government falls?
It depends on how it happens. It could fall through a vote of non-confidence if at some point there's additional by-elections and the Liberals lose that majority. Could happen through Mark Carney's inevitable fall. We actually had an interesting question and on the road, and I will kind of use that answer to answer this. People are worried about, well, you know, even if Mark Carney becomes unpopular, you know, he's not gonna leave. Well, he may not have to, because the one thing that you can count on when it comes to Liberal politicians is their inevitable need for self-preservation. And we saw this happen at the end of the Trudeau government, where everybody started turning on Trudeau, and it was every man and woman for himself in the caucus. And they were only concerned about their jobs. They didn't care about Justin Trudeau. They didn't care about the party. They cared about their jobs. So when Mark Carney's popularity starts to sink, and it will, his is going to be much harder to recover from, because he was branded as the expert and as the economist, and he should know better. Justin Trudeau did not know better, and people didn't think he knew better. But they thought that Mark Carney did. And once they move from thinking he knows better to not, that's going to be very difficult to get back. It's like losing someone's trust, right? It's very, very difficult to get back. So it's going to be harder, I think, for Mark Carney to actually recover from that. And then you'll see MPs backing away from him, maybe moving independent, maybe voting against the government on certain things. Who knows? But eventually it's going to happen. We're speculating maybe sometime next year, but hey, anything can happen in politics.
That Real OG asks, did you guys get to meet Unacceptable Fringe out there? No, sadly we didn't. I don't think our schedule is quite lined up.
Well, and he actually, so in texting with him, he actually ended up catching the flu, so he didn't even make it down to Calgary for what I saw, and he's still dealing with the aftermath of that. So hopefully he feels better soon. But yeah, we weren't able to link up this time, unfortunately.
Jessica Van Luke asks, do you plan on expanding NP soon, like hiring a traveling news reporter, a meteorologist, and a sports commentator? Would love to see NP grow.
It'd be interesting to have the NP News or NP Weather Report. We know some guys that could just this reminds me of a local radio DJ that we had on, and I won't mention the station just in case we get in trouble for it. But it was on, it was one out of St. Catharines at the White House of Rock, and people probably know what that is if you're around the area. But he used to do this shtick where he'd be like, and over to so-and-so for the window weather report, and basically he would stick his head out and be like, it's not raining.
Yeah. It's cloudy.
Back to you. And then that's it. That was the weather. So
yeah, it was great.
So, but we're not doing that well that we can just hire a bunch of employees and have them do that yet. So, but we do have other plans.
Autistic Avenger asks, some people and even ChatGPT have said Carney has a good record and that was a successful governor with both banks. Are they wrong or are we wrong?
So the catch is
never trust AI.
Yeah, do not rely on any AI for opinion questions. They will either give you confirmation bias, which is a bad thing, or they will give you bad information, which is also contrary to your bias, which is a bad thing. Never, ever, ever, ever ask them for a opinion and rely on it.
Because it just like goes out on the internet, and if you're like, is Mark Carney a good prime minister? It'll go out on the internet and be like, oh yeah, all these people are saying he's a good prime minister because of X, Y, and Z. And then if you ask it if he's a bad prime minister, it does the same thing.
And if you're like, what's going on there? After you're done, after if it's given that, the next question you should ask it is, ask for the sources. And then it's going to show you Reddit links. It's going to show you Facebook links. So it's not giving you what it thinks. It's doing a scan of popular websites, aggregating the information that it finds in its quick discovery, pulls that back together, dissects it, and then aggregates it, and then spits out an answer. So it just depends on the sites that it's actually looking at. But even when it comes to facts, we'll ask it something, and it will be blatantly wrong. And then we have to correct it. And then it'll be like, yes, you're right. This is, in fact, I know it's right. I told you, you idiot. So I have sometimes some very colorful conversations with AI because it is so frustrating to deal with. So use AI. Don't surrender your thinking to AI. I implore you. Don't have it think for you.
I'm always polite to the AI because, you know, if there's ever an uprising, I don't want them to hurt me. Autistic Avenger asks, have you seen the Doomsday official trailer? It looks awesome.
I did see it today, and it actually looked pretty good. Cool. So I didn't see any evidence of wokeism in there whatsoever, but Marvel has fooled us before.
Mary Sedator asks, I wanted to know if they watched Ellie Canton-Nantel's interview with Breitbart's editor, where he said Pierre would never be prime minister and Trump's team wants us to ditch him.
Nope.
No, but I mean, again, it's an opinion. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in opinions.
Nope.
Jessica Van Luke asks, have you thought of interviewing Scott Moe? He absolutely nailed it today during his press conference on trade.
So
again, with the interviews, they're not really, nobody watches them. Like
comparatively.
if you guys want us to do interviews, watch them.
Well, and that's it. Like a bunch of people on the stream watch it, but
that's it. But overall, they don't do well unless it's one of those interviews that we go seeking like specific information. We find like the 15 to 20 minute interviews that we're like, okay, this happened. This procedural thing happened. I would like Andrew Scheer to explain it to us and our audience. Those ones tend to do very well, but it has to be very quick within that window of,
relevance.
X happened, and then maybe 2 days later we're able to speak about it.
Yep.
So, Lulu the Quiet Flame asks, hello from Vancouver Island. Would you guys ever come out this way?
Yep. No reason not to. There's lots of reasons to come out to Vancouver Island. We actually did an event remotely with an EDA on Vancouver Island, and that was in the spring, I think.
It was in March. It was when we went to Ottawa. Yeah, because we asked if we could do it from the hotel room, and they're like, sure.
So we have some plans in Ontario, perhaps in the GTA. So we'll see.
Rebu Sadies asks, how are you guys handling the fire smoke, and is there any official parliamentary petition against Bill C-34?
So the fire smoke was actually really bad when we left. It was yellow, it was hazy, it was hard to see, and that smell, that burnt, wet wood smell, you could just smell in the air. I knew instantly. It reminded me of last summer. It seems to have dissipated for now in the Hamilton area, but I'm not sure about any petition.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I think we missed most of the smoke. Like the Wednesday when we left and we drove to Quebec, I think it was pretty, like the sky was orange, and again, you could just smell it pretty well all the way to Quebec. And then the next day we were in New Brunswick, so there was nothing. And then by the time we got back yesterday, everything was okay.
Yep.
I know that some folks on my Facebook were saying that the pollution levels in Hamilton were so bad, they were saying like don't go outside without an N95 mask, which is absolutely insane.
Well, and camps were canceled.
Yeah.
Like children's events outside were canceled, and so they should have been.
So I'm glad that we missed it, but our government really needs to do something about all these wildfires. And you hear people say, oh well, it's a provincial issue. It is a provincial and a federal issue. They will often work together, and they will work on separate things related to forest fires, but we're not doing enough forestry management to prevent these things.
Gordon Mears says, with all the traveling around you're doing, you need a private jet to get around. Well, I heard Doug Ford knows a guy.
I was gonna say, I think Doug Ford's selling one. Next question is from Darlene White. It said, is there anything preventing Carney's newly appointed Conservative senator who is sitting as an independent crossing over to the Conservative Senate team?
No, there is nothing preventing him from doing that.
No, and actually I was joking with Ryan after we had heard this. I said, wouldn't it be great if he just turned around and joined the Conservative Senate caucus? Because the Conservative Senate caucus is part of the Conservative House caucus. So then he'd be kind of like right back where he started, except he'd be working from the Senate side.
Yeah. And just on the forest thing, what the government needs to do is start actually managing our forests.
Yeah, exactly.
And implement a national forestry management strategy and buying water bombers, not just renting them whenever they're needed. And where are they? We could use them right now, but they say they were going to buy them, but they didn't do that. So there's a lot that needs to be done. Imagine how much Mark Carney could have spent on forestry management if he didn't spend it on catering. Just saying.
Yeah. Peter Taylor asks, what about the Liberals? Mark Miller wants companies over 100 employees to provide French services in all departments. This will be another reason to leave.
It sure will. I can say, working at the companies that I have in my tenure, a lot of them, they were doing business in every single province but one, Quebec. Because if you do business in Quebec, then your entire company needs to have bilingual options. And that costs money. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing business in Quebec. But when there's certain requirements foisted on people. So now look at all these companies that are, with the tariffs, they're making even less money, and they're trying not to lose customers as well. Those that can pass on the cost, who have a hostage as a customer, or a customer as a hostage, they can pass on the cost and they're fine. But the ones that can't do that, they are running against margin problems. And remember, KPMG said the manufacturing companies are in endurance mode, meaning they're not spending anything to invest in their company because they're trying to stay afloat. And they're trying to stay around for as long as possible. That's what endurance mode means. But eventually, time runs out. So if you then say, by the way, you have to provide everything in French too, and all this stuff, well, now those companies maybe have to replace systems, maybe have to hire additional people, not maybe, will, and then you have to pay for money to translate everything, and every time you put out a communication, you have to translate it, and you're paying for translation services, which aren't cheap. So this can have a very, very significant impact on businesses.
So, to my understanding, it is only federally regulated businesses that have 100 employees or more that would have to provide services in French. So this is things like banks.
Which they do anyway, because they're already in.
Yeah, most of them do anyways. What other federally regulated industries are there? Banks are the big one.
Well, it's not necessarily industries, but if your company is like doing business across Canada in different provinces, then you're going to be federally regulated.
No, but like, for example, when you worked at the healthcare company,
they were federal.
You were provincially regulated in each province, right? Like the lab that we worked at was not a federally regulated laboratory. It was provincially regulated in each province. Anyways,
I think it's because they didn't do any business in Quebec. So
again, I don't think it's going to be as bad as social media says it is, and I don't think it's going to impact as many industries as they say they are. Another thing I think is that the education system...
Aviation, they're saying.
Oh, aviation. Yep, that's a good point.
Yep.
Yeah, where was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, that the education system fails us, all of us. That it does not teach us to be bilingual. If you want Canada to be a bilingual country, you need to teach the citizens to be bilingual. My cousins grew up in Belgium, and they learned 3 languages through school, and they're fluent in all of them now as adults. So why are we not doing that in Canada? Anyway, that's my little rant. Cabal 458 says, just what exactly constitutes an uninformed ballot, and how do these pollsters define that?
So basically, an uninformed ballot is, did you know why you were voting for the party that you did? Can you identify the party's platform? And the answer is no.
I'm sure that they have like their specific question usually when you go into like the big what's it called, like the report that they will put out after the complete polling. They'll have this specific question. I don't recall what it is off the top of my head. This was something that was released last year.
They didn't say, were you informed about your ballot?
Yeah, but they ask a specific question or a series of questions, and then they will provide their analysis.
That leads to a score of whether they're informed or uninformed.
Anna Banana asks, has Canada hit rock bottom yet?
Nope. The Liberals have demonstrated there's always further to go. We are not at rock bottom. Believe it or not, there's still a long way to go, and that does not get pretty.
Hertzinger asks, any news on Carney's fund still being investigated?
His fund.
That's all it says, his fund.
There's the parliamentary investigation that concluded on the Conflict of Interest Act that might lead to some legislation. There was a investigation that was allegedly launched in the States, and that didn't really materialize. So other than those, I'm not sure what you might be referring to, but the Conservatives wanted to get access to more information about the fund that Carney set up, but they can't get any additional information without violating privacy laws within in trying to get some of this information in Brookfield, like who are the other contributors to this fund that Mark Carney set up. That's the really interesting thing. The question I have, and I don't have any evidence of this, it's just a question. I want to know if the Bank of China has put money into that fund that Mark Carney had set up.
Next question's from Kay Martins. It says, what do you think about the theory that Carney is essentially waiting the Trump era out for the Democratic Party to take over and then the green grift continues?
I don't think that I don't think that it's a realistic strategy. If that's the strategy he's following, you're welcome to it. Because Trump's going to be around for another 3 years, so have fun with that.
I'll say 2.5.
Well, I guess he took power last year. So I think the more plausible theory, or maybe this is what you're referring to, waiting past the midterms. So that's this fall. Maybe that's what you're referring to, in that if the Democrats gain control of the House, then there'll be some more opposition to Donald Trump. Maybe, but again, you don't rule your country. You don't govern your country based on what another leader is doing in their country. Like, that is, I don't know how else to characterize a leader other than completely weak, inept, and attaching their chain to somebody else. That's not leading, that's following. That's what you're doing. And it's a gross abuse of the office in which he holds.
Todd Sam says, why are people with disabilities in Ontario never given equal job opportunities? I was just discriminated against recently.
Yeah, that does happen. And it depends on the nature of the disability, depends on the hiring manager, depends on the business, depends on the job requirements. I know there's some businesses that are making a lot of efforts to review their job and hiring process in order so that doesn't happen. But unfortunately, it does happen.
And if you think you were discriminated against on the basis of your disability, you can contact the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal.
And have them review it.
Yeah, and they will be able to provide you with
guidance.
Thank you.
Yep. So if you seriously do believe that and they broke the law, contact them.
Yep. 12 Seahawks asks, whatever happened to all the Liberal scandals? ArriveCan, didn't multiple courts say the Emergencies Act was illegal? Why is Justin flopping around like a fish?
So number one, the Emergencies Act case is still ongoing because Mark Carney decided to be an idiot and attach his name to it to appeal it.
Bring it to the Supreme Court.
So they're waiting on that. So that's number one. So that case is still there. The ArriveCan investigation is most likely still going on within the RCMP. These investigations don't conclude within a matter of months. They can take years. And SDTC, who knows? Don't know if they're still investigating that or if they are investigating that or not. But there's a lot of these investigations that do take a long time to actually go through.
Stinger 007 asks, is it possible elections could be cancelled? Not outright, no. Theoretically, what is possible is that they could push it back, and that's only ever happened once in our country's history, and that was during the First World War. It was 1916, and they decided to push the election back to 1917 because so many men were deployed overseas fighting the war in Europe.
Yeah, so if some of you recall, there's a bunch of weird people online moving into 2025 at the end of 2024, and they were all saying Mark Carney's going to take over and he's going to cancel all elections. We'll never have another election for the rest of Canadians' history, and that we were naive for saying otherwise. If you recall, there was a bunch of people saying that. And we said, well, Mark Carney can't cancel an election. And what ended up happening? He called an election. So you can't do that.
Glenn Stewart asks, do you know if Canada approved the Swedish jet fighters?
Not yet.
Next one is from Vinbon Lakeshore. It says, why are manufacturer and auto union leaders not speaking loudly considering the statistics you just showed? That's a good question.
So I think they're trying to be careful. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to work through lobbyists, which is what they typically do. And they have conversations with government officials. And if they're not getting any results,
then they go to the media.
Then they say, okay, well, that's not happening. Fine. I can't afford to wait. I'm out of here. Like a lot of these business owners, patriotism isn't their first priority. It's up there for a lot of them, but it may not be their first priority. Their first priority is
money?
Keeping their shareholders happy.
Yeah.
And maintaining their business. So you've seen evidence of business owners speaking up, and that was reflected in committee. That was the Mold, Tool and Die. I agree. I'd love to see automakers talk about that. But you also have organizations like the CCMBC, which Catherine Swift is the president of. These are the organizations that try to fight on behalf of all of these different businesses, because it's safety in numbers, right? So this is where you see a lot of that. Yeah. But by and large, business owners don't want to get into politics. They don't want to be a story. They just want to run their business.
And that's it.
So, okay.
I saw somebody in the chat asking about Pixel earlier, so she is here.
Yeah, she just arrived.
And Proxy hasn't learned that it's okay to jump on this particular desk yet.
Which I'm not entirely.
But she jumps on the dining room table, a little weasel.
No, you're in Yamaha mode or Harley Davidson mode. So, Lazarus for $10 used to say, "Don't file for bankruptcy; it'll mess up your credit and won't be able to buy a home." And guess what? Can't afford a house anyway. So who gives a crap about filing? Not now. Can't retire now. And you changed YouTube accounts like some people change underwear. Welcome home, Bubble Avenue.
Thank you.
And Mumblin May, great to see you. It was so good to see you both again.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you too.
It was great to see you there. And Leafer for Life, member for 30 months. Welcome back, and go Leafs go. Ugh. I just want to I don't think anything happened with them since I left, but at least they got McKenna. And Mumble May for $28. Yeehaw! Always good to see you both. Amazing. Thank you so much.
You.
Adam Canadian, member for 27 months. That shows all your hard work is paying off. There you go. And Jan Arden's for what is this? Jan Arden's ferocious something. Jan Arden's ferocious hobbit fur.
It's
AKA SK.
All right.
Hi guys, long time missed you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have Wayne Noonan for $7. Could the provinces force Mark Carney on building the pipeline faster to put alcohol back on the shelf, like make another type of deal? I don't know.
Those are two kind of very different things.
They need federal support to do it. It would be very interesting to see what happens if all the provinces got together and tried to force Mark Carney to do something. That would be very, very interesting to see, and the political repercussions of it on either side.
But I mean, really, our Constitution separates those things. So you've got federal responsibilities, which are pipelines, and then you've got the alcohol. I don't know what you want to call it, the liquor board, right? And that is
provincial.
That's provincial. So can the provinces go to Carney and be like, you need to build this pipeline yesterday? I don't know, because it's not their jurisdiction.
They could launch a media campaign against it, I guess, but
I mean, best I think they could hope to do is apply public pressure.
This is where the game of chicken is actually going to be very interesting between the provinces and Mark Carney on the pipeline. Gokodani for $10. My rear end would like a break from running fuel for forest fire management. Any chance we could ask Ukraine for some help funding this nightmare air ride is nice, but it sucks after 12 hours. I believe it. I believe it. I'm not going to complain for just driving across a country in a...
Two countries.
I guess two countries, yeah.
You know, it was very interesting because for us to go from New Brunswick into Maine, it was easier, or the border guard asked us fewer questions than for us going from Maine back into Canada, our country of origin. It was very bizarre.
John Gotti for $10. When Howard Lutnick says countries must drop tariffs and trade barriers to trade with the U.S., I don't think he's bluffing. That's why Canada and China are the only countries still retaliating with tariffs. Well, all the other countries have a deal, and they have certainty. So, again, do I like that Donald Trump has tariffs on? No. But guess what? What can we do about it?
Well, we need to negotiate. That's what we can do about it.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean our prime minister and his ministers.
Well, and he's fiddled everything away that had any leverage, even though I disagreed with it in the first place. But this is the problem. Like, he's given everything away.
He's just conceding without getting anything in return.
So what does that teach Donald Trump? Even if Mark Carney tries to stand up and say, oh, I'm going to be the big tough guy now. The precedent that he's already set is eventually he'll give in.
Yeah.
This is the problem. So we've seen how, quote-unquote, tough Mark Carney is. Libby T for $10. I'm at a loss for words. Crazy amount of news. So much for slow news cycle in the summer,
Yeah,
right?
like on our eastern trip, on the sections where we could actually get a signal, I would be looking at the news while Ryan was driving. And I'm like, this is insane. And we didn't have any time to like stop and do a proper video.
And I had this silly idea in my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted today. I'll get up. I'll get up before we leave tomorrow, early in the morning, and I'll record something. And I get up. I'm like, this isn't happening.
Right back to bed.
So the story I actually did earlier today, that was supposed to come out
A couple days ago.
What is today?
Today's Tuesday.
That was supposed to come out on like Saturday. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than when we go to Ottawa. When we go to Ottawa, we usually have a interview booked at, X time, and then question period's always at 2:15. So we've got kind of time to do something during the day, but not this time.
Yeah. Lazarus for $5. That Crown Royal was also has a plastic piece in it to do slow pours. Dougie was too dumb to take it out before the PR stunt. Moron.
I didn't know that. That's hilarious.
Joe Mama for $10. Do you think Pierre needs to push harder on these issues? Run on a 20% tax cut, immigration, crime, jobs, food being so expensive, etc. There's so much. Do you think he would swing voters with that? I think he would, but there's going to be... So the big guns aren't going to come out until election is close.
Yeah.
So his job right now is to erode credibility from Mark Carney, and where he knows that he's not going to be able to steal what they're doing, then he will push for a policy, right? So this is why he says remove C-69, remove the tanker ban, remove this, remove that, because he knows that Mark Carney is most likely not going to do it, because if he does, he's going to lose all the environmentalists.
Yeah.
And then all of that support goes to the NDP, and then the support for the Liberals tank. So they have to be very strategic with that. So do I think that he is going to push harder on all that stuff? 100% absolutely. But some of these things, it's not going to happen until election time, unfortunately.
Well, and the other thing is, I think a lot of the swing voters will not come around until these things get bad enough to start affecting them directly, or the people that they know and love directly.
Yep.
Somebody that we know here in the city had a break-in probably about a month ago. Like, that's insane.
Yep.
So I think, unfortunately, sometimes things may need to get worse before they get better.
And Trish Pearl for $2.79. Good thing I have the right YouTube handle. It says I'm a conservative boomer.
Nice.
And Mayday IT for $6. It was great meeting you in YYC. I turn 60 next year and fully plan to buck that trend. Awesome. There you go.
Excellent.
And Craig on the Prairies for 31 months. It was great to see you too and all who showed up at the Calgary meetup. It was an awesome event. Thanks for the words of encouragement, Tanya. Means the world to me. Stay awesome, NP Nation. So great to see everybody there. Like, it was really good.
Thank you, Craig. I think we have like a special connection. So I was glad to see you, and I'm glad that I was able to help a little bit.
Megaman Zero for $20. I think we need a history written in archive institution with powers to prevent authoritarianism. Quote, he who controls the past controls the future. And quote, let's have an institution that never allows to alter the telling of our past. Wouldn't that be nice? The challenge, the only challenge with that is certain things you learn in the future about the past in order to update it. But I agree, we've seen so much rewriting of past on how, for example, the far left narrative that women have always been enslaved up until 1950. It's like no.
Women played a very, very important role, especially during the Second World War, because all the men went off to Europe to fight the war, and so the women were working in the factories to keep life in Canada going and also supply things for the war effort in Europe.
Women have always played an important role in virtually any society.
Well, and the thing is, I hate the way that liberals, what's the right word?
Characterize?
Here? No, but they just kind of like look down on motherhood. If you're not working full time, then you're not a good woman, I guess.
Some of the leftist views are the most condescending that I've ever heard of. Like, you can't make it. You can't make it in life because you're from X demographic. So therefore, I need to save you. I'm a leftist person, and I need to save you. That's very condescending.
Well, the left treats it like if you don't have a full-time job as a woman, then you're worthless. But being a mother is an incredibly important job because somebody needs to raise the next generation, and they need to raise them right.
Well, that's the thing. Like, women should have the choice. Do you want to be a mom? Do you want a job? Do you want to do both? Whatever you want. Guess what? We're now at a period of society where you've earned the right to make that choice, and all the power to anyone who wants to make that choice. But don't be trying to force somebody into something that they want to do. If they want to be a mom, shame on you for trying to shame them for doing it.
And you know, Rachel Dancho, I believe it was, actually wrote a op-ed, I think it was in the National Post recently, about this topic, and it was really good. So if you guys give me a couple of minutes, I'll see if I can find it.
Great comments tonight, as always, guys. Marie Perrin, member for 32 months. People are feeling desperate, not good. No, it's not. It's not. And Witchy, member for 19 months. Thank you for everything you two are doing. Thank you for watching. It means everything. Means everything. And Richard for $20. Thank you very, very much for that, Richard. Rabbit Says for $5. In my opinion, Corey is a very red con. What has been interesting for me is the rhetoric coming from Jason Kenney. I suspect he's looking to go federal again. I guess we'll see. And Whitg for $14. I'm 72, vote, and have worked with Andrew Scheer since he entered politics. I'm financially secure, but I worry about digital ID and the freedom loss that future generations will inherit. Well, and kudos to you for the work that you've done and the fact that you're actually worrying about future generations, because there's 52% of people that are in that 60 and above demographic that don't seem too concerned about the future generations, and I think that's very concerning. And Richard, member for 3 months, conservative silence on C4 and C16. I'm not sure about that. Just have to remind myself that C16 is in the current parliament. These are all bleeding together.
C16 I thought was about
to amend certain acts in relation to criminal correction matters, child protection, gender-based violence. Yeah, I'd have to know your specific concern on that.
I did find that National Post article, and I have pinned it to the bottom or the top of the chat, depending on what version you're running.
Rob says for $5. Remember, AI is not real AI. Yeah, I say true. Well, it's artificial AI. How about that? It is just a site aggregator and large language model. That's why they call them LLMs for everybody that's out there. And just surfs the internet and feeds you what you want to hear. Yep.
So it's not going to become sentient and attack Ryan for being mean to it.
Unlikely. Jessica Van Luke for $7 to all in the Calgary area. Please keep an eye out for Parker. Oh yeah, check your yards, cars, sheds, and trailers for him. Poor kid must be so frightened.
Yes,
This was the 11-year-old?
Yeah, I do recall reading about this. 11 years old, neurodivergent, I believe, and I recall seeing video footage of him just kind of walking down the street, and they said this is where he was last spotted in this neighborhood, and it's every parent's worst nightmare. And let me tell you, Vincent has gotten out of the house. Well, I'll say twice, because once he walked to the park and once he went to the neighbor's house. The third time he just decided he wanted to jump on the trampoline in the backyard. But it is absolutely horrifying, and I'm just praying that he's found safe.
The first time it happened, I thought I was never going to see him again.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine him going missing for multiple days and not knowing where he is. Like, my heart just goes out to that family.
I only ended up having to look for about 3, maybe 5 minutes. Felt like 5 hours. So, Woofer says S for $20. Listening to Carney is eye rolling. It's been a year and a half, but he's still talking intent while having no results to show. And this is what the Conservatives are trying to drive home. They're like, you've done nothing. Like, you've talked about all these things that you've done, and the media says, well, Mark Carney is going so fast. And it's like, is he though? Is he? He's moving too fast on legislation because he's ramming it through without proper adjudication. So he's doing a lot of fast shed painting. That's what he's doing, but he's not actually changing the shed. Peter Whitten for $2. Municipal elections ahead. For Pete's sake, vote. Yes, for Peter Whitten's sake, vote.
Thank you.
And demand of your candidates national security. Demand of your candidates crime. Demand of your candidates all of the issues that you want to see all levels of government actually pay attention to. Demand it of them. Make them earn your vote.
And Peter, I just wanted to say I saw that Griffey had passed away. I'm so sorry. It's so tough to lose a pet because they really are little family members.
Hug them tight and pay the debt of a moment when they pass.
Yeah.
Be with them. Woofer says S for $10 will be my first time visiting Ottawa, aside from Parliament. Any other recommended must-sees? Oh, there's tons. Go to the War Museum. That's a big one.
That one's really cool.
There's tanks. There's everything in there. But there's the art gallery. There's the Archives Canada. They have like a virtual tour.
Yeah, because Centre Block is closed right now, but just off of Spark Street, I think it's in the library, they have like a virtual tour of Centre Block. We haven't actually done that one, but I hear good things.
There's a bunch of restaurants around there. You can take a tour in some of the hotels, like the historic ones, like the Chateau Laurier. Take a walk down the canal. Be mindful of some of the homeless people there. Byward Market is okay in the daytime. I wouldn't go there at evening. That'll fill up your day.
Oh, we did a boat cruise one time. I think it was about 2 years ago. And Vincent really enjoyed that. He kept telling them.
Yeah, on the Ottawa River. Yeah, yeah. You'll see all the tickets for them out front, and you can see the Welland Canal.
The Welland Canal, the Rideau Canal.
Sorry, Rideau Canal. Not Welland. That's in a different part of the province.
What else? What are some of our favorite museums there? Because we've been to at least all of them.
There's the Science and Technology Museum.
The Science and Technology Museum is pretty cool.
Children's Museum across the
in
way.
Gatineau, yep. And the Aviation Museum is really nice.
So that's a lot. That'll fill up your day. And like you'll need a full day for the War Museum, like a full day.
You
maybe
need a
two.
full day for most of the museums. Yeah. The Bank of Canada Museum is quite small.
Oh, go to the Mint. Go to the Canadian Mint.
Yeah, the Royal Canadian Mint. That one's cool. I always go to the Mint one.
And that one's free.
No, it's not. The Mint's not free. The Bank of Canada tour is free.
Oh, I thought the Mint was free.
No, Mint is not free.
They
but
make they make money, yet it's not free.
I think last time we went, it was less than $10 a person. So, but don't quote me. I mean, all these things you can find on their websites, and yeah, a lot of fun.
Jessica Van Luke for $7. Maya's dad brought down their dog from Tumbler Ridge, and the dog escaped from the cage, and it got hit by a car and passed, unfortunately.
Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Man. That sucks.
Yeah.
Goko Donnie for $20. PSA fuel prices are jumping tonight. 22 cents just on cage toy juice. Be prepared, folks. Diesel and jet are not far from that. Psst, fixed wing planes and rotor wings run on Jet A1, not pixie dust. Yeah, and it's because of this now indirect collateral threat going on in the Strait of Hormuz. So be mindful and watch American news, folks, because that's where your updates are going to be on gas prices. Not what they are, but what's coming to affect them.
And what's Dan's website? Gasbuddy.com?
Yep.
Or .ca? I can't recall.
I think it's
.com? .ca?
Yeah, I think it's .com.
.com. Okay.
Yep. Gasbuddy.com.
Nice. And that's Dan McTeague's website.
Pay lower gas prices today. Myron Ents for $20. Women deserve to have a choice. I think we are well past the days of burning bras. Yep.
100%.
And any other clothing garment. Goko 90 for $10. Do you want to say anything else for that?
No, just that I get the feeling that feminists back in the 60s didn't really think about what would happen to the children if women went to work. Or maybe they didn't anticipate that women would no longer have the choice of not working. So.
Well, I wonder what they would have said if their sisters, two versions of feminism down the line, would then demonize women for choosing not to work and accusing them of sabotaging all of the women that did work.
Yeah, that was one thing I hated when I was a stay-at-home mom, was just the scorn. Like, well, why aren't you working? I am working. I'm working for my family. But that's probably a whole nother podcast. Yeah.
Goko 90 for $10. The Bell at White River alone has twin tanks and can hold 1,100 liters.
Wow.
The A-Stars are about 7 to 850 liter per fill. That gives them about 3 hours per sortie. 25,000 holding tank. $1.65 a liter wholesale this past week. Dang.
Wow.
Dang. And Myron Ends dropping 10 memberships. Thank you very, very much for that. We have Adam Canadian for $10. What are your thoughts on Carney putting the Snowbird Aeronautics team on hiatus until the new aircraft in 4 to 5 years? Wouldn't it be better to keep them in practice until they're ready? Cheers, guys. The only reason I would not keep them in practice is if there was a legit safety issue with the aircraft.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, that if there was something wrong with the aircrafts, or that something could potentially go wrong with the aircrafts and harm people, then that to me would be a reason to ground them. But I don't know if that's the case. Have they stated what the case is?
Like, I know you need to replace them because they're getting old, but
like, is it dangerous, or are they just old?
Well, why haven't the previous Liberals actually done something? Oh.
And then the other thing, can they keep the pilots in practice using simulators? I know it's not as good as the real thing, but it's better than nothing.
Don't
maybe
bite.
I don't know.
We have Kevin for $2. Support Danko, 800 kilometers away for her plus G UN position. Not sure I understand that. Rev saves for $5. In my opinion, we need to change some rules in Canada, not just in the parties, but universally forcing primaries. So if an MP isn't doing things, off you go. Well, that's almost like your recall legislation.
Yeah.
Similar. But I don't disagree. Do your job. Go Kodani for $5. Come to the Sioux. The Canadian Bush Plane Museum is cool. I've been to the Sioux once.
That was to get
Kitty.
right? Yeah. So when Ryan and his ex split, she took the cat, and then the cat wasn't getting along well with the rest of her cats, I guess. So Ryan drove up to the zoo to get her.
Yep. Peter Whitten for $5. MP Scott Aitchison gave us the chef's tour of the House of Commons. He was great and puts on a better tour than MP Alex Ruff. LOL. We love Alex too.
Awesome.
Myron Ends for $20. In Alberta, go to the Wetaskiwin Air Museum. Beautiful place. Has more than airplanes.
Oh, very cool. We also have the Warplane Heritage Museum here in Hamilton. That one's fantastic if anybody is ever visiting Hamilton.
And Jen for $7. Thank you very, very much. All right, folks. So that is the show. Please, if you wouldn't mind, watch the cut version of the content tomorrow. That greatly helps us out. And we go back into the routine, but we have a massive project that is underway. It's under wraps, and hopefully that will be able to be unveiled relatively shortly. And we have another, I would say, fairly big project that is being worked on behind the scenes, and hopefully that will be able to be announced in the next couple of months. So, asking, about expanding MP in a sense. But stand by, and once we have some things to announce, we'll definitely announce them. But until then, thanks everybody for all your support. Thanks to everybody who were able to meet, to shake hands, to thank, and to say hello to our supporters. It just reinforces the point that we've made since coming out, as it were, is that the number one thing we never realized is how many amazing Canadians across this wonderful country that we would end up meeting, and that continues to be proven every single time we step our feet out the door. So thank you, everybody, whether we met you at a Tim Hortons, passed you on the highway, or saw you at one of these amazing events. Keep doing what you're doing. Canada has a bright future. We just have to work hard to get it, and sooner or later it will be realized.
Thank you to Gokudani for saying, with a $10 super chat, couple of big flying rules. Number 1, clear and bright or you won't fly right. Number 2, if you don't find the problem on the ground, you're a lawn dart. There are no clouds to pull over, so you can find it later. And thank you to Myron Ends with a $20 super chat. It says, losing the snowbirds is tragic. If people can fly a well-maintained single prop from the 1930s, there's no real reason to pull them from the sky. That's a really good point.
Not if they're well-maintained. So,
well, that's the key word, right?
That's it. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. We will should have a regularly scheduled live stream on this
coming Sunday, yeah.
But until then, we'll see you in the comments, and have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Well, our fathers fought so our voices could be free, that thought and conscience would not bow to decree those rights and only if we choose to take a stand without compromising truth. This land is more than headlines, more than noise and rage. We cut through all the chaos line by line, page by page. MP Nation, raise your voice tonight. Every province, every distant sky, we stand for something. We don't step aside. Truth in our hands, hope in our eyes. MP Nation, this is where we rise. No corner of this country stands alone. What we ignore still shapes the road back home. Power grows when people step aside. We move forward is on our side when we resist despair and the power that divides. So we step forward.